And welcome back, everybody. It is the most earth-freaking, ground-shaking, but never media show any taking. The man, the myth, the legend, the most electrifying Zack Snyder hater in the fandom
I
zone, Mr. General Zod.
can
Or
get on board with that. I love it. I love it.
yeah, and folks, just so you know, I hate to keep on bringing this up because we actually have different shit to talk about than your Lord and Savior Zack Snyder. Okay, because I know this Snyder cut is the news. You're gonna see about 50 YouTubers talking about this, which is why here at the late nights, I love that me and PB do some different things. But I've been doing some DC things, getting prepared because I'm a DC fan. But apparently I'm not because I don't like someone else's work. PB, remember a while ago, right? We were talking about the SJWs, and I said that we have a flip side to this thing with SJWs, right? We also have extreme fans. Like you could be a fan of a franchise or a fandom, and you could not support one thing, and then they get just as vicious as the media or these SJWs are. And it baffles my mind really because in these times, I would think we need to stick together on the bullshit as far as corporations go, right? Fighting
You
amongst
would think
ourselves.
so.
Fighting amongst ourselves on who's gonna suck Zack Snyder's dick first seems counterproductive to what the point is, right? The point, and I said this in the Twitter thread too, because this is day number two, because these people are fucking nuts. I said, you guys are missing the point here. It's not about necessarily the movie, okay? The movie is subjective, whether or not you like Justice League or you don't. Most of us here in the fandom zone don't, but I still watch the movie. It's the only DC movie actually I don't own Justice League. I even own BVS. I,
Oh, jeez.
I've given it, yeah, I've given that a hard pass. I own Birds of Prey, but I mean, Justice League was the one movie I actually I never brought. So I mean, I but you got these crazy people, and here's the thing that the Snyder people, they made the argument too, like, oh, you believe the media and blah blah blah. I'm like, have you seen my late night stay?
Nope. None of these people, and I don't know how freaking three-quarters of them had found us. Like, they just randomly fucking find it. Like, I don't know if they're getting suggested or recommended on Twitter or what, but they just pop up randomly and are like, you have a terrible take. You're not a fan. And I was like, all I'm telling you is what Zach said and how his two statements, his quotes, are mutually exclusive. So either one is a lie, or the other is a lie, or both are a lie. Doesn't matter what my opinion is about Justice League or the Snyder Cut. That's irrelevant. But these sons of bitches just keep coming out of the woodwork. Like, I don't know where the hell they keep coming from.
That's why, and I love how per put it, the Snyder cult, right? Look, you know what? You guys could think that this is the most amazing take in the DC universe, okay? And the funny part is, I'm actually a DC fan. I'm a fan, but you have to be like an extreme super fan and love Snyder's idea or whatever. And it was funny too because I believe like one of them said, "Well, the mass majority of audiences liked it." And I hate to pull what the media likes to pull with the numbers, but I mean, being honest here, okay? If we look at the numbers and look at the audience as a whole, and then they got the argument, well, the audience aren't fans. I'm like, well, how do you have everybody pretty much universally agree that they liked Man of Steel? They might not have liked aspects, but even you, right? Most people liked Man of Steel. Okay. So how do you
Sure.
like how do you have people who liked to tolerated to saw Man of Steel watchable, and then you jump into BVS and you have 90% of people being like, uh, oh yeah, I don't like it, right? And then Justice League, like absolutely tons of people, fans or not, that were just like, yeah, that's garbage. So, I mean, come on, people, come on, we need to grow up. Be happy. Be happy you got your victory. You you know, th- that's the other thing that
Yeah,
makes
I'm
me
not.
upset about this.
What they make it seem like, I guess I have to say us, because they seem to be attacking all of us because they want to attack the channel, which, we only just started like what, 2 months ago, 3 months
Yeah,
ago, and we really haven't put that much work into it overall. There aren't that many videos on it, but apparently all of us, we're just toxic and terrible people, and we're just attacking Zack Snyder. I was like, what are you talking about? Did you even watch the video? You didn't even watch the video. You just looked at my thumbnail, you looked at what I said on Twitter, and you just decided, hey, I'm gonna retweet this and say that this guy's an asshole. And I think one of the comments on YouTube was like, you need to delete your channel because you're spreading hate. And I was like, I didn't spread any hate. What are you talking about? All I said was the guy lied. You're going to tell me you've never lied? Everybody has lied at some point in their life. Nobody here is Jesus Christ, except that they
except for
think that he's Jesus Christ. That's the
yeah,
problem.
you saw you saw where I was going with that.
Yep.
But I mean, we need to be banded together on one very important thing right now. Forget the Snyder cut and this nonsense. You know what we need to band together about, PB?
Cheese?
No, as a fellow gamer, The Last of Us Part 2. Okay, so folks,
Ooh.
I had to talk about this because yours truly actually got to play it, okay? Because I
Hold on,
didn't
hold
want
on.
to.
Before you get into before we start, how about you welcome everybody who's in the chat? Because right
Oh,
now I'm still sending out my tweet, so I'm going through all of your hashtags in the description, so I can't see the chat right now. I know Jamie Vick is here. She said that she was waiting for us for I don't know how many minutes it was, but we apologized. Like, he was dealing with some stuff, but we're here now. And then I know Timon is here. I don't know who else has shown up yet, but you should be able to see.
no, they still haven't popped on my thing yet. But yes, Timon
Oh,
and Jamie Vick, welcome. I gotta say, shout out to Timon and Jamie Vick. They've been here just about every show we've done so far, and they've had some really good points. So you guys are always our fave to have on here. You know, it's good to see some level-headed people. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Some people that
We've
are
been
actually going to interact and enjoy being around the quality entertainment that we're here to provide on YouTube.
so it's good to have you. I'm sure we're gonna have people coming
Stone
coming
Cold
in.
Jeremy just got here. I could see that. I sent my tweet out. So everybody retweet it, share it on your social medias. Tell everybody we're talking about this game that, from what I can tell, everybody's still pissed off about it.
And
Oh
here
no.
I wanna give some context to this because I'll be honest with you, I was a little salty too, and as it
Oh
because you
geez.
play games just like the rest of us, and look, I think that okay, The Last of Us did something to the survival horror genre that was actually new and innovative, right? we've had Resident Evils and the Silent Hills and things like that. But there was something about The Last of Us, its story, Joel, the main you'd almost call him protagonist slash antagonist. So I say anti-hero kind of thing. And just especially with, and spoilers if you have not played the first Last of Us, YouTube, don't pull my channel because I'm not talking about Last of Us 2, and you know how they like to do that bullshit. But if you played the first game, there was a choice that Joel made towards the end of the game where he chooses to basically save this girl over humanity. He has the cure for this, and he has the opportunity to save everyone, and he chooses to damn humanity, and in order to save I forget her name, and I've been seeing these articles
Ellie?
all day. Ellie, there we go, to save Ellie. And there's something about the end of the game and the way that they delivered this that I hadn't seen on other games, right? Because how many games do you play where there's a realistic outcome to a choice like that? Like, how many games have we seen where the hero doesn't make the right choice? He makes the human choice. And I thought that was what was brilliant about this first game. The storytelling was sharp. The controls were on point. I mean, there were a couple of things where it was kind of janky, but maybe it's just me playing a PlayStation.
I
But
mean, you realize when you ask me a question like that, the answer that you're going to get, right?
uh
7.
but I mean, Jesus. But you know, and I think the biggest thing that pisses people off, look, there is a two-prong problem with The Last of Us 2. There is the sequel hype that you get where with every one of these big IP games, right? You have a point
Sure.
where where like Resident Evil, right? Resident Evil 2 had to top it, and it did, you know? And then the next one has to top that one.
I mean,
So
that's the I guess problem or issue that Grand Theft Auto is in right now. That they're working their asses off to build the next game, and I don't know how many years they're gonna have worked on it by the time it comes out, but it's gonna be several years, and that's why they keep doing their DLC intermittently to build on what the newest one I think is 5, right?
five, yeah.
Right. So they just keep adding a little bit to that until that one's done because 6 is going to have to be bigger and better than 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
And see,
it's going to take some time to build a game like that. You can't just do that in 2 years and then be like, "Yep, push the game out. Push the game out."
and that's the problem too, is that companies will, like you were just saying, push the game out, right? But they don't like to, they like to capitalize when the product is hot, which, that's marketing 101. That makes sense, right? But with doing that, the quality of the game drops, and then you have the almost insurmountable player base where you've got to wow them a second time, right? It's easy to do that first time when you got a premise that just happens to be the one premise people weren't expecting. So, bam, it was easy to get them hooked, but it's not so easy to keep them playing, right? So,
Right.
so let's fast forward and we start getting these leaks, we start getting these spoilers, and we start getting mad. Now, look, here's the thing. I don't care about the whole Ellie being gay or whatever. I have been playing the
Oh
game.
no, a character is gay?
Yeah, like
If
that
only
doesn't
that would mirror something in the real world. There's no gay people in real life. Come on now.
that's not what bothers me. And,
Like
and I
we're
even
not talking about the fact that like Joel and Ellie are stopping off at the 7-Eleven or the local Quick Trip at the corner to get a fucking hot dog. Like if that happened in the game, I would be fucking pissed. I'd be like, "Wait a second. I thought this was the apocalypse, but you're going to be upset that a character is gay. Ugh.
Which that doesn't bother me. But there's the other flip side because there is a hint of throwing in, which when they talk about this SJW stuff, because you never know, our side can go to the other extreme as well as their side. But then I'm playing it, and there is a particular thing, and like I said,
Wait, wait,
I'm not
wait,
going to
wait,
do.
wait. What? Did you just say you were playing the game?
Yeah, I've been playing The Last of Us too, because look,
So
I'm
did
not going to
you
be
buy it physically or digitally?
digitally.
Okay, continue.
And look, I wasn't going to be one of these YouTubers who are just reviewing it because it's the hot thing to be pissed off about. I wanted to play it because there's another aspect here besides the outrage that people have to take into account.
The
How is
enrage.
the enrage of can you even fucking move around and stuff? Because games are judged a little bit differently, right? It's not like movies or something like that, where it's like we're judging on the acting and dialogue and visual alone. There's also the interaction stuff. So
Yeah, games
uh,
are a special medium.
they are because they're physical, they're auditory, and they're visual. So you've got those things, and you've got to evaluate all of them. And honestly, it plays like the original does. There's actually a few tweaks and features that I liked about it. But here's the thing: the story itself, if you take out, and make no mistake, people, it's true. All of these things that you're hearing when they talk geeks and gamers and stuff, I got to give credit where credit is due. And it's true. This story, like if I'm comparing it to the first game and how brilliant I thought that story was, and like how I didn't expect a lot of things that happen, there's two very big problems with this game. Is that I tried to not look at these plot leaks, so I didn't know everything that was coming, just what we covered, and I knew what
Okay.
was coming. You know what I mean? It
Oh,
lost, yeah, it lost its sense. Like with the first Last of Us, there was a sense of like unraveling things as you go. And I like games like that, right? Who doesn't? When you're playing like a
right.
survival
You
quest.
have the extra bit of mystery where you have no idea what's going to come next, and you have no idea when it's going to come.
So, I mean, the game, from a certain standpoint, taking out this nonsense, the politic wise, has fundamental flaws within the story itself, because the story, it went from being this complex narrative that was interwoven through great and amazing gameplay as you went through the story, and then slowly unraveling these characters, to having a point where I got to the halfway point of the game, to the big scene. I don't want to tell everyone, with Joel. If you've been on the internet, you already know what happens. Which, by the way, that was fucking stupid too. I'll get into that. Um, and I'm also
Okay.
gonna read Forbes because these reviewers are fucking idiots. But there comes there comes a point within the game where, I'm not gonna lie, I'll defend something when when it should be defended. The first half of the game is pretty interesting, and it's pretty engaging.
Oh,
There's
of
a couple of
course, the
things.
first half of the game when you're playing as the man is interesting, but the second half when you're playing as the woman isn't.
And the thing is, too, you do use Ellie some too, like they're prepping you for the second half. And, and once again, too, what they did was with the Ellie and her storyline isn't necessarily bad. It's how it's executed. And I'm trying not
It's
to give too
just
much
not
away,
necessarily good.
which isn't necessarily good, exactly. So, uh, you know, so I'm playing this game, and I realized that the story went from this complex thing, And it's like we talk about all the time with the SJW sense of writing. The narrative goes from complex to kind of simplistic. And actually,
Whoa, whoa,
scratch
whoa.
that. I wouldn't.
So it went from a you have no idea what's going on, connect the dots type of picture to a paint by numbers, you know exactly what's coming next type of picture.
Yeah, instead of
That's
you,
sad.
yeah, instead of you being in this complex world and going through the game and figuring things out and putting things together yourself and to create the bigger picture like the original game did, which is why many people loved it. It sort of feels convoluted and like, oh, everything's being kind of, you know, it's being revealed to you like you're a child. You know what I mean? Like they dumbed it down instead of coming out with something more complex, more thought provoking, and with passing the torch per se from Joel to Ellie, you could have done so much more with that story because of how the you had Ellie and this person basically doomed humanity to save her, right? So they boil it down to sort of almost a simplistic revenge quest, which has been done in games, movies, everything so many times, right? And then
Yep, everybody's played the revenge story.
and then you go and you have the most simplistic uh generic story with Ellie herself, right? And they have this villain in there, and the villain that they have, they try to flip it and make you sympathetic to the villain. The problem is the villain of the story kills everyone's favorite book. And, you know, uh, you guys have already seen this on the internet, I'm sure. If you haven't, then I guess spoilers. But uh, the
If
villain
you
of this,
haven't, come back in 20 minutes.
but the villain of this story kills our favorite protagonist. I guess you can say antagonist, because he's an anti-hero. He ain't really a hero, but
I mean,
they
you
kill
can
him.
be an anti-hero and still be the protagonist of the story. I
Yeah, it's
mean,
just you don't play
Thanos
by the
is a
hero rules.
villain and he's the protagonist of Infinity War.
So I mean, you have this game where they the villain, right, kills the main character, everyone's favorite character, like right off the bat. And then they do something weird where they try to make you have sympathy towards this the main antagonist of the game. The problem is they didn't they built it very weird because they had the villain kill Joel in the beginning. So you're pissed off. So no matter what they try to do to flesh out this character and make them more sympathetic once you find out why the person did what they did, you can't get on their side, and it takes something away from the villain because you've you've killed them before you built any kind of thing, so we can't get a connection, and it just cheapens it because you know it's okay their showdown, but it isn't anything special. So, and then yes, there's the whole SJW stuff. There's stuff that everyone knows about the gay stuff. It wasn't as bad as people would have you believe. It was, it's a video game. I mean, you didn't see full on anything really crazy. Um, but the main
Wait a
villain, it's
second. Was that you answering Curtis's question or not?
let me see.
He, Curtis said, spoiler, you know what it is? Game of Thrones hype. Everyone is copying the subversive death stuff. Didn't Joel die in a crazy way?
Yes, yes, he did. And I once again, I don't want to say too much because people's streams were being cut off and pulled, their videos being pulled and stuff like that. So I don't want that to happen. But yeah, I can tell you, and to be honest with you, it would have had more impact because I didn't necessarily have a problem with the way they killed him off. It was, once again, like I said to Wacky Snyder fans, it was the execution. Uh, it was just the way it was done was like, wow, like that's what we're going. Like this is the person who was your player in the first, the whole entire first game, and then like the first half of this game. So like I was like, yeah, the way they did him in, I was like, man, it felt, it felt kind of disrespectful. I'm not gonna lie. Like I know what they were going for, but it felt disrespectful, and not to me as a fan because I got what they were doing, but it felt disrespectful to their own creation, you know, like Joel was a real
Okay, so
person
then it
and he didn't
sounds like
renegotiate.
maybe the people that made this game weren't all the exact same people that made the first game. I mean,
Yeah,
compare it to fucking Star Wars. You watch The Force Awakens, and then you watch The Last Jedi, which is a slap in the face to The Force Awakens, and then you watch The Rise of Skywalker, which is a slap in the face to The Last Jedi. It's like, can you make up your mind sequel trilogy?
and here's the thing. I agree with what Stone Cold Jeremy said right here. I'm gonna put it up on screen. He says, The Last of Us 2 so far isn't good. The first 4 hours of the game is a lot of hand holding, very basic video game stuff. Absolutely. And too much backstory uh explaining other story that explains another piece. He
Holy
goes,
fucking balls, man. This is The Last of Us Part 2. Part 2. Why the
exactly.
fuck?
Why do
Oh
you need
my
to
god,
explain
like
point
I've never played
part
the
one?
first one. I've never even like played a demo or anything. So I don't know anything about the game per se other than what people have said about it or watching someone's review or reading a review and shit like that. Like I don't have any firsthand experience. But how the fuck are you going to hold my hand through a story, backstory no less, at the beginning part of a part two?
And that's the thing that boggled my mind too, about the first half of this game, is that it's
Like I
spent.
I understand that it's a video game, so you need like the little bits of tutorial because obviously not everybody played the first one. You're always going to have that little bit, so people got to understand the controls in the game and what does what. I get that, but 4 fucking hours and then to take the hand holding into the story to be like, hey, you need to know about this. You need to know about this. You need to know about this. Okay, now we can move half a step forward. Wait, we forgot to tell you this. Holy fuck. That's worse than a
Yeah,
goddamn Pokemon game.
yeah, and you know, Stone Cold Jeremy just said, Stone Cold, you and I must be on the same wavelength today because he just said what I said earlier. It was very disrespectful. If they wanted Ellie to be the main character, there are other ways to do it other than killing off everyone's favorite character. Now, Stone Cold, I'm going to just take the opposite position for a
Give me
second.
a hell
I
yeah.
hell yeah. It's not that they killed everyone's favorite character. I think that it's fine if you do that. I think that gamers can sometimes just be like, "Hey, you want to change characters?" Okay, some of the best games have killed off their main character or surprise killed them, like Modern Warfare 2, right? The campaign. I loved when you were playing that soldier and you thought he was like someone, and then you get to the end of the level and he fucking dies with everyone else in the bombing, right? They've done that. And in Modern Warfare 3, they kill your main guy from the first two halfway through the game. So that doesn't bother me. But I think what Stone Cold means is it's the way it was done. I think people more have a problem with the death that he got is the issue. It's not that they killed the main character off. We're gamers. We've seen tons of games that have that kind of, you know, where they kill Resistance did the same thing, right? Uh, what is it? Not Cryo Shock. Crisis. Is it Crisis? Yeah, with the power
Crisis?
suit.
Okay.
Yeah, like you have two different heroes in that series. So I mean, it's not killing the main character that's the problem. It's like unceremoniously killing him the way that they did. It was the way they did it and the way it comes off. It makes it feel like the creators hated their own character. And I think too, that's where you have people talking about the SJW stuff coming into the game was because of how they killed the main character and then how Ellie steps into that role. It feels like we're getting rid of a guy for a powerful woman, you know? And I mean, I didn't personally feel that way, but I can understand how people would take it that way. And
I
the
mean,
game creators didn't do themselves any favor with the story that's after that.
sure, yeah, and I can't specifically speak to it, but I find it hard to believe that that was the specific, oh, well, we got to move this over to make room for this powerful whammon, except for the fact that she's been there since the beginning. So it's not like you're really making room for her. She's always been a part of the story. And if you, as the person consuming the game, didn't think at some point, unless you didn't think there was ever going to be a sequel or a sequel to the sequel or anything like that, if you didn't think at some point you were going to have to play as her because he was going to die, I feel like you need to reevaluate how you think about stuff because
Yeah, so
it's a video game in a post-apocalyptic world, and from the way that I understood it, anything could happen at any moment.
yeah, so I mean, there like once again, it was probably bound to happen, but it's all in execution, right? We were talking about that last night. It's not how you do these things or what ideas you have. You can have a great idea. I mean, on paper, that sounds shocking. Like, yeah, that people are playing, and then bam, just when you think that it's going to be you and Joel again, boom, it switches. Like, cool, good idea. That sounds like some, intriguing, suspenseful stuff. But then you put it into practice and you execute it a certain way, and then it's like, hey, wait a second, like, why are you doing it, and why are you doing it in this way? Because that death was so like, wow. I was just like, seriously, that's how this dude goes out. Like, it's like,
I guess
wow.
I'm surprised, being that there's two playable characters or characters that are main characters essential to the story, whatever the hell you want to call them, why they didn't, I guess, borrow a little bit from Resident Evil and either in this game or the next game, like keep Joel alive and make the fucking game two player, drop in, drop out, and you can play as either character. So then when you're just playing it single player, the computer operates the other character. And then if you got a friend over or if you're playing online, you can play as one character or the other, and your friend is playing as the other character. You're telling me that people wouldn't have wanted to play The Last of Us together. Like you call it The Last of Us together. Like there's
Or
plenty of people out there that would play a two-player game with their best friend or their second best friend, whatever the fuck, on the internet or on their couch. Like gamers do that. I would say there's a lot more gamers out there that play with other players than are like, I only play solo games by myself in my hermit cave.
and here's the thing too. You could have done something and it could have been cheap or whatever, and it could have been still shocking. You could have had a scenario where he's dead, but maybe he's not, right? Like maybe they're in a burning building, or he gets shot and or something, and tells Ellie to leave him there. That way, he's dead, or maybe he's not. You know what I mean? One of those scenarios, so that you don't put yourself into a corner, so that you could bring him back, and there's a reasonable out instead of just the way that they did. Like the way they did it, he's dead. He ain't coming back. You can't bring him back. And I think financially too, that was a terrible choice, because Resident Evil has done it, right? You've played like 16 different characters, and then they've dropped them in and out other Resident Evil stories, right? In 2, you play Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield, and then they drop out of the story for 3, and then
You switch
4
over to
you have,
Chris.
yeah, you swing over to Chris, and then 4 you have another one. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that kind of a way to use your characters, so that if you wanted to do this big thing, the ambiguous death is also pretty good way to go about it, because you leave it in the player's mind. Is he dead? Could he be back? It creates
Right, like
buzz
you
and
do
chatter.
something like that with the burning building, and then you make it all the way till the end of the game, and you're like, okay, we've made it to the safe house, or the safe point, or the safe zone, or whatever the fuck it's called in the game that signifies that you're at the end of the game, and you're just sitting there or whatever, and then you see a human shadow over your shoulder, and that's the end of the game. You don't know who the fuck that is, and it's
Yeah,
him. And then you'd find that out in part 3.
yeah. Or even it could be
But
someone
wait,
else.
hold on. Let me backtrack just a little bit. I need to recant my previous statement because, as Stone Cold Jeremy said, I'm making too much sense. I need to stop using logic.
Yeah, I mean, there there was a lot of different approaches. So this was a long-winded way to get to my article, because we got plenty of time tonight. Zod is off. All I'm working on is my next review for my Penny Dreadful, which I get to see early. Thank you, DVR. And holy fuck, man, that now there is how you do something right, unlike The Last of Us. So I'm gonna switch over, because you know it. Come on, everyone who watches the channel, you knew what the media was going to do. You knew the media. They gotta. And these are people who don't even probably play
We've
video
been talking
games.
about this for 20 minutes, and now you're going to read an article about it?
Yep. Uh,
Oh my God.
you know how these shills, they aren't happy with just throwing in their 2 cents about movies now. They've got to throw in their 2 cents about games. And here's the thing that pisses me off the most about this article that I'm about to read. So everybody who's a gamer, prepare to rage like you couldn't beat that level, because this is a very rage-inducing article. This asshole is writing for Forbes. From Forbes, you motherfuckers don't even have a gaming division, so you're just weighing in it just for the political sense. It's
They're
it's
doing it for
definitely
the
the
clout, just like I allegedly made an anti Zack Snyder video for clout. What the
yeah, you
fuck?
clout you clout chaser. But I mean, so you have these guys, and yeah, this guy is supposedly playing the game, but with the way he reviews it, him and me are playing a very different game. And you heard me describing it. I'm being pretty down the middle because I'm close to the ending, I think. I don't know. I'm a good way through. I've beaten the first portion of it.
The
So
man is dead, so you're a good way through.
so uh let me uh let me read
Get to
what
reading.
what Paul says, and it's
Fucking
entitled The
Paul.
Last fucking Paul. The Last of Us 2. What's the problem here exactly, right? So you think this guy's going to be down the line, right? He's going to tell us exactly what is the problem. Is he talking about the game or is he talking about the fans? So, well, like many people, I spent most of yesterday diving into The Last of Us Part 2, a sequel to one of my favorite games of all time. Fuck Resident Evil. This is my favorite game of all time. They've never made a
Wow,
better
Forbes
game.
said fuck.
I ad-libbed that. So, uh, and an experience I've been waiting for years. But between plot leaks, ripped cutscenes, and controversy around certain characters, I knew a war was brewing, and one has indeed arrived. While The Last of Us 2 has a best games of the generation level critics score 95, yeah, this has a 95, and now it's saying it is getting absurdly and obviously bombed in the user score department, where it sits at 3.4 out of 10. And before I continue, I've read the reviews, and from what the people have posted reviewing, these are not people who are not playing the game. So it's not review bombing. It doesn't work like movies where you can just see what someone else posted and go, yeah, fuck Captain Marvel. No, it's not like that. The specifics that people are giving, because I went to Metacritic and I checked, the specifics they're giving, I've played the game and they would only know what they were talking about had they played the game. Okay? It's not like they heard or they saw something and they're just ripping that. This is actually other problems that are within the game that you will only find out when you play it. So, review bombing, Mr. Paul, you're full of shit. But, that's what they do. Where it sits 3.4 out of 10 with 24,400 reviews. For context, the entire lifespan of The Last of Us 1 generated over 9,000 user scores. It's been 36 hours for The Last of Us Part 2. So, what the hell is going on? Why are people so mad about this game? Paul's going to enlighten us. Why are we mad? Why does Paul think we're mad at the game? After playing around the 12 hours or so, I can only comment on what appears to be the first half. I made it past the 12 hours. If the 25 to 30 hours reports of total playtime are true, and yet I remain confused. You would, Paul. And simultaneously, not very confused at all. Way to backtrack on that statement. As a fan of the original, I am very much liking this one as well. Yeah, because Paul likes a 4-hour tutorial fest. Paul
Fucking
likes
Paul.
everything. Paul likes everything explained to him. How the shills are. They don't like to think about these things. Uh, you know, fuck using your imagination. We're in 2020. Anything I love, everything I loved about the first game is present here. There's been a couple changes, Paul.
Oh, spoiler alert. Joel comes back at the end. That's what that must mean, right? Because he loved Joel in the first game, and he said everything is present there. So that must mean Joel is there at the end of the game. Unless he's lying to me. Continue.
Oh, PB, Paul would never lie. He would never lie to us. He's got enlightened view here. Uh, the performance capture and writing. Okay, so let me just highlight this for you guys, okay? Because Paul's laying it on thick. In case you didn't hear me, the performance capture and writing is excellent, and the story swings between brutal lows and genuinely sweet highs. I didn't see that, Paul, in 12 hours, Paul. In 12 hours,
You
a
didn't get
major
to the
character dies,
heroin
Paul.
scene yet.
If there's anything to complain about, many of the issues I had with the first game are still present here. I think clickers infected are poorly realized enemy type, and I can't stand any of those encounters, which is half the fucking game. So already I know you're a fucking idiot, Paul. I think the story gets broken up, overly long exploration and combat sequences, especially when Ellie is alone and there is not interspersed cutscenes to keep things moving. And yet the issue with the game, and nowhere near enough to offset the good so far, so something else is clearly at play here, with everyone screaming about how much it sucks and they hate it. So what's up? I have to go into early spoilers here a bit because it is more or less impossible to talk about the game without mentioning what is effectively the entirety driving force behind the plot. So turn back now. Turn back now if you don't want Paul to fuck it up for you, if you have played it at all. Because Paul's got to tell you the real deal. Paul's gonna be your informed source because he fucking works for Forbes, and Forbes knows it. Okay, they're Forbes. That's a fancy name. They know shit. But if you've made it through the first 2 or 3 hours, you know the trauma, and he does quotation marks, I'm about to dive into. Number one, the death. One impetua that impedes or is one impetus. What the fuck? Whatever. One reason I'm gonna paraphrase Paul because he's getting sophisticated over here. Zod ain't sophisticated. I'm Kryptonian. For for anger in these early reviews is a plot point that I'm willing to say that many players have probably reached. I am less convinced these many people have reached the end of the first game. So if they experienced the ending, it was through leaked cutscenes. Paul, no. If you played the second game, I'm willing to lay down money. You're a person who's getting a sequel to a game because you've played that game through and you liked it and you want to know the story. Or, at
I
this
mean,
point, some people could
that's
get it
why
for the
I get the
controversy.
sequel to Madden because I played it through and I like the story, so I get the sequel.
I am talking about, of course, Joel's brutal murders at the hands of Abby and her FLW, former Firefly contingent, where he's captured and beaten to death right in front of Ellie. It is, of course, a shocking moment. It is also not terribly surprising, if you ask me. No one fucking asked you, Paul. Yes, I heard the leaks, but before that ever happened, the very first trailer showcased Elion was on the warpath, out to get revenge. From that first moment, it seemed pretty clear to me it was likely that some group had killed Joel. Yes, because you're clairvoyant. You just knew what was going to happen. What a fucking douchebag. Anyways, and even if Joel did appear in some spots later on, I figured those were either flashbacks or an imagined appearance. I was half right, at least. I simply disagree with the notion that killing a character you like is automatically a bad story decision. That's not the point, Joel. I'm so pissed. I'm sorry, Paul. I wish Paul was Joel right now. That's how I feel about this guy's writing. Okay.
Harsh disclaimer.
I'm sorry. Disclaimer. I don't want the Forbes Mafia coming after me. We already got to deal with the Snyder mob. Anyways, sure, sometimes the stories can go too far with the idea, the absurd body counts in Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead. Fuck you, Paul. Fuck you. And yet here, I think it absolutely works as the driving force to the story. And it's not like Joel isn't in the game. Come on, he's in the game. You get to see him in flashbacks. Woo! Okay, I ad-libbed that, but
Wow.
yeah, yeah. Good for you, Paul. That's exactly what I
He's in
wanted.
flashbacks. Awesome.
Because
That's one of the worst things I hated about season 1 of Titans. Oh, look at Batman. That's not actually Batman.
it's a flash. Everybody loves to see a flashback. I mean, it worked so well at the end of Twilight. It was just a dream.
Oh, fuck.
Everybody loves that. Spoilers. If you ever wanted to see the ending of Twilight, then you're a fucking idiot. And why? But
I
anyways,
mean, hey man, if the entire thing, if that's all Twilight was that final scene, if that's all it was, I would watch all of fucking Twilight because that final scene is awesome. But then it gets spoiled a la TLJ. They're like, yep, this didn't happen. I was like, oh, I just thought
and
you
now
actually had some consequences, but you just had fucking a mind battle, gay.
and that and now Stone Cold Jeremy, uh, to get to the, as you so eloquently put it, status quo subversion, uh the agenda, and he uses air quotes because he's got those quotations for agenda.
I was going to
Let
say,
me
they're
give you
not air quotes if they're in print, guy. They're just quotes.
let me give you a helpful hint. If your negative review of The Last of Us 2 is based on anywhere from 0 to 30 hours of playtime, including the words agenda, feminism, SJW, woke, pandering, or political correctness, you have already lost the argument. Paul doesn't want to hear it because he's right and you're wrong. Fuck the fans. The common refrain I'm already hearing people say is, it's not about that, it's about the story. And yet there's hundreds of those user reviews that all cite one or all of those terms, saying Naughty Dog is pushing some sort of agenda because these characters exist in the game. No, that's not the point, Paul. That's not what we're saying. It's not that they exist in the game, it's how it's how the story introduces them, Paul. Clearly you're not playing the same game. You're not playing the same game, Paul. You're a fucking liar. Anyways, 12 hours in, that's literally all that happens. Ellie is gay. She has a girlfriend who is traveling companion. In the first half of the game, the only commentary at all about any of this, other than the mere existence of the character, is Ellie calling a guy a bigot who made a big deal about her kissing Dana. The guy apologizes and he makes them a sandwich. The end. It is ridiculous to me that these characters simply existing somehow defines an agenda. If a guy or a girl get together in a cutscene, it's par from the course of any game or movie or show. If a girl and a girl do it, it's being shoved in our faces. And then he updates it. A previous version of the article talked about Abby likely being trans, but it appears there is some confusion about this, with many saying that she is not. And it seems I need to get further into the game to address it, but one of the pre-release focuses and many of the current complaints, at least, paint Abby as trans, as part of an agenda issue, wrongly or otherwise. People are allowed to dislike the game, and yet 95% of the stated reason I've seen from people saying the game sucks are from people who have either A, not played it, or B, haven't gotten to the first death and freaked out, or C, have their very own, very clear agenda surfacing, which you definitely didn't when they were playing a close to identical game as Joel. No, Paul. No. No, that's not.
Okay, hold on. Before, so you have played far enough into it. Does the game play identically once you change characters? It has to play identically.
No, it doesn't, because by the very
Okay.
nature, it's a different character. The style and the way that Joel did and killed and executed people in the first game is not the same as Ellie does it, because they're two different people. They're constructed differently. They have different personalities and different approaches. So inherently, he already makes himself look like a dumbass, because the game and the creators aren't going to make the characters play the same, because then that would be fucking pointless. It wouldn't be The Last of Us. I don't even
I
know what
mean,
this guy's talking about by
he's
that, saying that.
writing an opinion piece about a video game for Forbes. The only video game pieces I've ever seen on Forbes had to do with money. So I don't know what the fuck this is even doing here, but it's goddamn hilarious.
I love what Stone Cold Jeremy said here. I got to put this up. This is hilarious. Oops. There we go. All right. He said, yeah, let's not forget they had the guy make the woman a sandwich. Don't care. Just saying.
That they make Joel have or make Ellie a sandwich in the game.
Yeah. No, they have a random guy. It's just somewhere they stop off. You know how it goes. It's like an NPC.
Oh, okay.
But
Random
I
person
mean,
makes a sandwich for Ellie. That's fucking hilarious.
and here's the thing. The more I think about it now, because I wasn't really thinking about that, I was more playing the game for the game. But that is kind of really fucked up as far as what they're saying about guys. Like, it's about time the guy made a sandwich for the woman. Like, you see where I'm going with this, PV? There's a
Yeah, that
it,
sandwich is going to be terrible. It wasn't made by a woman.
it's like there are
Oh, that
little
wasn't
things.
where you were going with that? That wasn't where you were going?
No, no. I like to be equal here. It could be a good sandwich. Who knows? But
I
then
mean, that
the
is
women.
true. The rookie critic does work at Subway, and from what I can see, he makes masterpieces.
So, I mean, here's the thing. Those kinds of politics are in there. Okay, let's not kid ourselves. And I'm not going to be one of these people that say they're overtly in there. Granted, keep in mind, people, I'm not through the whole entirety of the game. I'm through the first half. But just from what I've seen from the first half of the game, and I'll give you an update when I get through the rest of the second half of the game. Uh,
So next
I
week.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything that is blatantly in my face. But with that being said, stuff like that, there's little jabs and innuendos. And let's talk about this Metacritic score for a second. And it being at a 95%.
Wait,
Hmm.
whoa. The Metacritic score is at 3.4?
Yes, for fans.
Yeah, it's the fan score at 3.4. So, I mean, nothing about that seems completely unreasonable if everybody's pissed off about the game.
Yeah, and here's the thing. They're making it sound like it's just people who haven't played the game, and I love how that's their go-to. Um, you know what, Paul? If you've read the reviews, the things that they're stating aren't from leaks. They aren't
Dude,
from
like, I
It's
always
not like a
find that
movie.
argument laughable. The review bombing argument to me is always so damn laughable because there are way, way more people out there that will take the time, the little bit of time that it takes to review something because they have experienced it, whether it be a video game, a movie, a book, whatever. Like they've done it. So they're going to be like, oh, I'll let other people know if they should do it. Shit, even if it's just a product that you've bought on Amazon. You think people are review bombing products on Amazon? Because if review bombing's a thing, it must be a thing for everything. That's how fucking life works. Okay? So there's no fucking way that people are like, you know what? I heard this movie pissed me off, so I'm gonna tell all my friends, and they're gonna tell all their friends, and they're gonna tell all their friends, and we're gonna get 1 million people together to review bomb this game and drive the score all the way down to a 3.4. You could never get enough people on your side compared
Yeah,
to legitimate people who are giving reviews on what they think. There's no way. Just like you
yeah,
can't review what the hell would be the opposite of a bomb. What's that review boosting?
yeah, something like
Like
that.
there's not enough people out there for that to happen. Unless there are plenty of people like literally running the bots, like you have seen bots show up on stuff like that, and then you see the same fucking comment all the time, but it's still not enough to substantially change the number. Like if you got rid of all of these review bombs that they talk about, what do you think this number would come up to? 4.5. Yeah, now it's a great game. It's all the way up to 4.5.
And that's the thing that baffles me because it's like you said, like, and but the critics can directly influence the score because they
Yes,
can
because
call
there
all
are
of their buddies.
far fewer of them. Far fewer. When you only got like a few dozen critics, like I don't know the exact number, but I mean, last time that I checked any freaking scores on Ridiculous Tomato for like a new movie that was coming out, there was only like 90 to like 120 reviews from the critics on there. I was like, oh, so if you got like 5 or 10 people, that's like 10% of everybody who's reviewing right here. You can really affect the number. Like, that's substantial. And if it's even a
Exactly.
little lower, like you can really start to affect some stuff, especially if it's the early number. Like nobody's going to look at the number down the road unless we're talking about like next year when they're selling like the game of the year version or the ultimate edition version that has all of the extra DLC onto it. That's the only time people are going to look at all of the extra review numbers, like when they resold like what the fuck was a good example of this? Arkham,
Yep.
what is it, Arkham Asylum or whatever. One of them, I know they resold it with all of the DLC on it. And I seen that and I flip it over and it has all of these freaking reviews on the back and they're all like 9.5 or higher. And I was like, oh, this is probably a really good game. That's
And,
the only time you're ever going to see reviews like that is on a game that gets resold later for
and
a new version of it, I guess, or an updated version of it with the extras. It's the only time you're ever going to see this shit other than immediately. So 3 months from now, nobody's going to be checking the Last of Us scores. Like the
nope.
odds of them checking it when Christmas rolls around, no one's going to give a shit. They're going to go, oh, this was a brand new game 6 months ago, and the price has been dropped to $40. Sure, I'll pick it up.
And here's the thing, gaming ratings in general have always worked differently than movies. So you can't apply the same rules. You can only apply it to the metric system, but you're still going to have a different kind of crowd, different kind of grouping of people that are rating it as opposed to the standard common moviegoer or things like that, right? You're only That's a niche audience type of thing. So
Right.
they can't you can't play the same thing you play for a movie because it doesn't work like that. You're not going to see the common person, a mom or a dad sitting down to play the last. Well, you might, but on the whole, it's more of kids, teenagers, young adults, maybe some of us who are older that are still PS fans and are a fan of our respective system. And this was how we chose to do our free time. But for the most part, you don't got the same audience or the same demographic. So you saying that things are being reviewed bomb and using the agenda politic terms, it doesn't apply to this grouping because it's a different audience. It's a different medium. So, they try to like cross this into the different genres and it doesn't work. Gamers have been attacked before. The difference is gamers are able to affect sales a lot more than moviegoers because with movies you have what they call the normies, right? We've called them before, or the normal audience. They can still affect the outcome of how well that movie's going to do,
Yeah, you
whether we
don't.
think it sucks or not.
Yeah, you don't have your average person go to the store and just look at the freaking game rack and go, you know what? I'm going to buy that $60 game today. Why not? Whereas you're exactly right. You do have your average person that will just go to the theater, not know what the fuck is playing at all, like not even have checked ahead of time, and just show up and be like, hey, what do you guys got playing today, like in 20 minutes, so that I got time to go to the bathroom, get my drink, get my food, and get to my seat. And then they buy a fucking ticket. They have no idea what the fuck it is. They're just going to see a movie to get out of the heat or get out of the cold or whatever. They got a free afternoon, they got a free evening. They don't fucking give a shit. That
Yeah,
don't happen with video games.
gamers are a niche audience, and this is where you hear that term niche. There are certain things, just like reading comics, right? There's certain things in this world that are specifically catered to a certain kind of audience because it's only going to be certain people that will invest their money. Where you have other things people will invest their money in, that's for the general audience, right? It's more widely known. Like we said, movies, right? That's a thing where the everyday average Joe will just drop, 10, $20, whatever the price of the ticket is, just because, right? It's something they can do. It's a universal thing. But games are not a universal thing. They are things that certain people who have a passion or an interest in that particular thing will spend their hard earned cash on. And they'll also be very selective on what they want to spend their hard earned cash on because it's 60 fucking dollars. And unless you're fucking rich, you don't have the kind of money to be just dropping it on every title like that. So that's where these guys coming out and trying to defend something because it has a woke agenda will never work because guy, it's a different audience. You're not talking to idiot moviegoers or normal moviegoers or people that you think are idiots that you can sway with your opinion. These are people who specifically are in that genre, right? They specifically play games. This is what they do. This is what they like to do with their money. And it cracks me up every time your IGN, your GameSpot, your Game Informer comes out and they're doing the exact same thing that the movie side is doing. All of these fucking people are turning into little pansy snowflakes and they're pushing that the game's too violent. Oh, it's so brave because they have a gay character. It's like shut the fuck up and review the game. It's just like with
Exactly.
movies.
That's all I
It,
want to know about. How does it play? How does it feel? How does it look? I don't care per se. how the story plays out. Like, yeah, I don't want it to be a terrible story, but I don't want you to spoil stuff in your review in telling me or letting me know whether or not I should get a game, because I totally understand the need to review games and why people go to watch reviews to determine whether or not they're going to buy the game or not. Be like, hey, I'm gonna go check out this guy's review, check out this chick's review to see if I'm gonna buy this game, because I was skeptical of it, but now it's out and they've played it and they can tell me what it's like. And they go, oh yeah, I played the game and it was great. They had a gay character in it. It was a real brave choice. You should play it.
And
What?
it's like, yeah,
I don't
it,
give a fuck about that. Like, did it have tight controls? Were the graphics shiny? Did you run into any glitches? Like, come on now. Tell me about the game. Don't tell me about the game. Like, understand what I'm saying to you when I say this. Like, I want to know about the nuts and bolts of the game when I'm hearing a review about whether or not I should buy it. I don't want to know about the esoteric bullshit.
and that's see, this is where I love the gaming community and or the comic book community. And I'll tell you, it'll circle around. I'll tell you how those two relate to each other because both can directly have an impact on sales. Okay. We've seen it before. You talk about people being able to drive down a product, gamers and comic book readers have that power because it's such a niche thing. You don't have the wider audience. You have the fans. You have the people who like the specific titles or the books that they want to get, right? So they can directly affect how well something's going to do. This isn't like a situation with movies or TV shows or things like that where you can get other people to drive up your sales. It doesn't work that way. It was like what you were saying with like the made for TV or stuff like that, right? The consumer directly affects what the how successful the product is going to be and what the sales are going to look like. So this bunch is particular, and honestly, gamers, you could pull a bunch of them, and I could speak from personal experience as you can. We don't care about that bullshit. We're not going to be looking for that. So if you have technical issues, this isn't going to come down to a SJW argument necessarily. It's going to come down to that the game is just shit in general. But what Forbes is trying to do, and the rest of them, because it's the cool new thing to do since fucking 2016, is they're trying to do the same defense that they do for the movie end and say it's the trolls and blah blah blah. Okay, you can say that, but they control the market if you want to get petty like that. That little niche audience that you said, the little vocal minority, guess what? They have sway in that field. So maybe you don't want to piss them off because they
Yeah, the
directly
vocal
affect.
minority. How did the Battlefield 5 sales turn out?
Exactly. That is a great example of they can call their buddies and they can directly affect the score because what are we talking about? Niche audience controls the market. This isn't the
Like,
movies
yeah,
guy.
that's the exact thing where, like you said, you call your friend and you go, I don't think you need to buy this game. And they go, why? And you go, well, I'm definitely not buying it. So we're never, ever going to play it together. And I don't know anybody out there who you're going to play it with. So there's no reason for you to buy it. And they missed out on millions and millions of dollars. Way to go, morons.
Exactly. It's because with markets like this, word of mouth is still the driving force. I mean, I'd say, unlike movies, okay, word of mouth can affect a movie negatively or positively, but for the most part, unless you got really strong word of mouth and you reach a ton of people, you know, the word of mouth can be bad about something and it can still do good because you got even the people it doesn't reach, they're going to affect those sales, right? Because, like we said, normal moviegoers, everyday people. But with games, you have less people and you're gonna have parents you can take out of there, right? Because they're not gonna know what the fuck The Last of Us is unless you
No,
constantly
no,
remind them.
the parents, they are the victims. I'm glad that you brought that up. Those are the people who are the victims of the game not doing well, and that's the snowball effect. So when the game doesn't do well off the launch, like Battlefield 5, because you decided to put some political bullshit in it and then antagonize the people that you wanted to buy your fucking game, like that was real fucking dumb of you. And then it doesn't have those initial sales, so it's not trending per se. It's not at the top of the chart. It's not the big hit. So then those other people that would just be like, "Hey, I'm going to the store and I'm buying a game for my niece or my nephew or my grandson or whoever." Like they don't know what they're doing exactly, and they're gonna say, "Hey, what's the hot game right now?" It's not going to be The Last of Us 2 because sales have been affected. And that's the
E-
snowball effect. The people that don't know what they're doing don't buy that game because it's not the hot game anymore because you've told your friend, hey, this game is shit. You don't need to buy it. So you bought the game. I don't need to buy the game because you told me that it isn't any good.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's the point that Forbes and IGN and GameSpot and all the other fucks that I've checked out today that's given it a glowing review, they don't understand. You guys aren't reaching the parents. Parents don't sit there and watch a new GameSpot review. They don't give a shit. Little Timmy's watching the GameSpot review so he can see what the hottest game is. But the parents, or you know, maybe an 18, 19-year old, they're watching it on YouTube, whatever the medium is, right? But the parents are controlling the wallet, right? And like you said, if it ain't trending high and they ain't seeing those TV spots and it's not getting in their head, oh, little Johnny will like this, is brand new, they'll like this, right? If they're not hearing the buzz because, like you said, the sales aren't doing good or it's taking a hit and they're hearing other things, they're going to be like, nah, I don't think I'm going to get this Last of Us 2. You know, they're throwing stuff in.
Yep.
I don't want my kid to see. There's a lot that goes into it. And The Last of Us 2 falls into another group that really hurts its sales or is going to, that rated mature, right? So right off the bat, it it's like an R-rated version for games, right? The R-rated movie thing. Why do R-rated movies do less historically? Because the family can't go. So right
Because
off
you
the bat,
reach a
that movie.
smaller audience, period.
Yep. So that's like when you go and you look at the big board. Boom. Family's going to cross that off. Okay, I don't want to go see The Gentleman. That's probably not for my kid. Instead, I'm going to go see, you know, Toy Story 4. You know, whatever. So video game store, same concept, right? The parents go in and they go, rated mature. There's a picture of blood and stuff. I don't want my kid playing that, right? So bam, that you've eliminated that audience. So now you have the people who are going to talk about it, or the people who are 18 and 19 and 20 or 17, and they won't get carded, or they'll get carded and be able to buy the game, whatever the case is, right? So you only have that audience who can purchase the game without their parents present. And if you lose that small little crowd off of that already, then yeah, the people directly affect the market. And yeah, this isn't doing them. This is not doing them any fucking favors. And you know, it just it baffles my mind.
You're
So,
not the only one.
missed opportunities. But speaking of things that will be missed, PB, are you gonna miss the Guardians?
What do you mean by miss them? I'm not gonna miss them when they have Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh, but PB, MCU fans saying goodbye to the current Guardians lineup. Dun dun dun!
What the fuck does that mean?
Well, after Iron Man kicked off a string of hits in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it was up and running, but
Hail
only
Iron Man.
but only after the Avengers did the MCU really start to take chances. One of the biggest swings was 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy, an
Why?
an irrelevant sci-fi comedy featuring a tree and a raccoon. Yet it against all
Whoa, whoa,
odds.
whoa, 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 whoa. Don't be talking smack about my raccoon, whoever wrote this fucking article.
But they pull it back, yet against all odds, writer director James Gunn turned the obscured Marvel characters into some of the most popular MCU characters. After a hit sequel and two Avenger movies, though, only one more Guardians of the Galaxy remains, and it will likely be the last fans see of this current team. James Gunn will return for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 for a while. It seems James Gunn's involvement with the franchise has come to an end after some offensive tweets had surfaced. The film director was fired from Guardians Volume 3. In the interim, Warner Brothers brought him on to write and direct and fix the Suicide Squad. I put that last part in for the DC
Yeah,
Extended Universe.
editorialized for sure.
I'm going to make those changes with DC. But anyways, after several months, Disney changed their minds and rehired Gunn. The vision he had in
He
mind
was
for the
never
Guardian.
fired. Just my theory. Continue.
Yeah, I'm with you on that theory, but we're just wearing tinfoil hats for that one. But kind of suspicious how it all went down. Anyways, that's a story for
Mine's
another
a
day.
tinfoil helmet.
The vision he had in mind for Guardians of the Galaxy was always a trilogy, and it was back on track at last. Fans who adored Gunn's MCU movies would discover what fates await Star-Lord, Gamora, and company. Of particular interest is how Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 will build on the events of Avenger Endgame. The epic 2019 release saw Thanos defeated and most of the Guardians resurrected, but the version of Gamora on the team remains gone and replaced with her past self. Not at all confusing, but we're not going down that rabbit hole because, God, I remember those talks. We could talk about the flaws in the time travel bit some other time, but the director
We
has
can't talk
confirmed.
about time travel. There's no time.
The director has confirmed his next film will be the last for the team. Fans have long assumed, and before I continue, I'd just like to say I did my due diligence and I've read other interviews and watched them with James Gunn. It had always been his idea to end the current team line with 3 movies. So, this is stated in other places, but fans have long assumed Guardians of the Galaxy 3 would be the final installment of the trilogy, but this isn't simply speculation. Depending on release dates, Gunn could very well be the first director to finish an MCU trilogy. Yet the filmmaker herself has confirmed Chapter 3 is the last. On his Instagram via Screen Rant, but more importantly, Instagram, because it's on Instagram. Don't go to Screen Rant. Don't do that to yourself.
Fuck
Anyways,
Instagram.
Gunn answered a fan question And in his response, he said Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will likely be the final movie in the series he directs and the last with the current lineup. Gunn does leave a little bit of room for doubt, but this approach still fits the MCU. Fucking Russos. Anyways, after all, nearly every MCU series has tapped out at a trilogy, but since these are mostly centered on a single hero, therein lies room for Guardians Volume 4 to happen if the MCU considers the series more of a team up. Perhaps there is room like Avengers for new characters to take over. And before we continue, I've read Guardians. The lineup has changed through the years. Some of the core characters have stayed the same, like uh, uh, Rocket Raccoon and Groot. But for the most part, that's been an interchangeable team. Even Star-Lord has had different, people replace as team leader. The Guardians of the Galaxy is just the title. The people, you know, have been swapped in and out over the years. So it's totally a possibility for the MCU to probably put new people in. But anyways, there's a big difference between Avengers and the
Did you say
Guardians of the
put
Galaxy.
nude people in? I would love to have nude people in, especially if
Oh,
they start with Karen Gillan and Zoe Saldana. But whatever.
yeah, we know. The the former is comprised of marquee heroes, or I'm sorry, the big difference between the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy movie, though, is the former is comprised of marquee heroes like Iron Man and Captain America. Meanwhile, the latter mostly a motley crew of characters who have only appeared in the ensembled MCU movies like Avengers. Assuming the current Guardians of the Galaxy team retires from the series, they could always pop up elsewhere. Whether they appear is less likely, but certainly the future after Gunn's trilogy, wherein Gamora, Groot, or Nebula could remain part of the MCU. None of the Guardians will likely headline their own movies anytime soon. Fans would certainly love for some of their favorites, such as Dave Bautista's Drax, to stick out as an ensemble player after Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow movie has served that role for a decade. Perhaps it's the Guardians' turn to slip neatly into supporting roles. So, what do you think about this? And would you watch a Guardians movie with a different ensemble of people and
Of
powers and
course, I would
things?
watch a Guardians movie with a different ensemble of people. I watched the first Guardians movie and I didn't have any idea who the fuck any of them were. And the movie's awesome. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to say that I won't be disappointed if they take my favorite character off the team. I assume anybody would be disappointed if your favorite character was taken off of the team. But does that mean that I'm going to abandon watching all of the movies just because they decide to rejigger the team a little bit? No, that seems a little ridiculous.
Yeah, it does.
Like, do they give any names of possible replacements, or are all the possible replacements heroes that don't exist yet?
No, they don't. They don't go into any speculation, and it's the MCU. We won't find out anything till closer to Guardians 3. Then I bet
Because
you.
I mean, I have a feeling that if they're thinking they're going to add possible side characters that have been introduced already, that we know them and they need a spot to go and do stuff. Hopefully they can add Korg and Meek to the team. That'd be fucking awesome.
That would be. I'd totally be down for that.
I mean, then they could go around, and I don't know how many of the Asgardians are left. They could. Lady Sif has got to be out there somewhere. Put her on the team.
Yeah, that, and that's the thing. That's the thing about this whole thing is the MCU is so hard to predict where they're gonna go with these things because let's be honest, they always lie. We know this. This is not a new thing. They always lie about what they're doing or what's coming, and we hate it, but it's part of the things that leaves some kind of mystery to the MCU that has made them so famous. Is that it's like, oh shit, I didn't see that character coming. It was rumored, but we didn't think that was going to happen. So, I mean, me personally, I like the cast, but I do also think, judging the second Guardians movie, we it would be good to shake it up a little bit because that was, if you were to say a complaint in the second movie, was like, some of the jokes were a little bit overdone and things like that.
Wait
And
a second. In the second movie, who's the guy in the chamber on the planet that's chasing them?
Ego.
No, 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 no. The planet that all the people are gold.
Oh yeah. That's Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock. Okay.
But he
So
wouldn't
when
be
the
a
hell's he
Guardian.
showing up?
He's an Avenger. He
Okay,
was
but
supposed
does
to
is
show.
isn't he supposed to show up as like a air quote villain at first?
Yeah, yeah, kind of. It's hard to explain because he's not really a villain. He's more of like one of those characters who's kind of like Doctor Strange, like the balance. He gets directly involved because he's a magic user, so he gets involved when there's like elements that are outside of, I guess, earthly
Okay, so
things.
he's not when he comes out of the chamber or whatever is supposed to be happening with that post credit scene, let's say, he's not working for the sovereign at that point.
It depends on which storyline they go with, but uh,
Fair enough.
yeah. So I mean, he could be or he couldn't be. There's two ways they could play it, and either one would make sense because both of them
But
have been done.
okay, but he at no point ever becomes a guardian of the galaxy in the comics, at least.
No, no, and as a matter of fact, he was actually in the first Infinity War, and he was one of the people who fought Thanos with the
Okay.
gauntlet and went toe
Follow
to
up
toe with him.
question. Do any of the Guardians of the Galaxy become Avengers or vice versa?
I'd have to go back, but no, no, they never. The Guardians are kind of like how they're portrayed. They do them actually pretty well in the MCU. They're more of a maverick group. Like they'll go as a team to help the Guardians, but none of them like moonlight on the Avengers per se. I believe the only one who kind of strikes off on their own or does stuff independent from the team would be Star Lord himself. But or Rocket Raccoon has too. Like he has an arc with the Flarkin where they have their own adventure. Pretty hilarious. Um,
Okay.
but other than those two, they really more or less stay as a team, as opposed to where Avengers, you have singular characters who singly have their own part of the MCU that they patrol or protect or take care of, and they come together when the circumstance is dire to form the Avengers. That's the difference. It's like,
Okay. Here's a follow up question that I think is Something that I have no clue about, obviously. Do all of the Avengers, at least the core ones, because I know the team does get pretty big in the comics, do all of the Avengers have their own comic book?
For all of the Avengers or the Guardians?
Just the Avengers.
Oh yeah, the Avengers. Um, yeah, most of that team has their own comics. Like Adam Warlock has his own run. Yeah, Iron
It's
Man,
called
obviously.
Adam Warlock.
Yeah, Doctor
Okay.
Strange. All of them.
Right.
They all have
Right.
because
And
they.
obviously all of the big name ones, everybody knows that they have their own comics. So yeah, I was just worried about like the lesser name ones. Like, does Falcon have his own comic?
Yep. Or he
Okay.
was. There was a run with Falcon and Bucky. There was one that's just Falcon, and then there's Captain America where he took over as Captain America, and it was Falcon, but just titled Captain America, basically.
Yep. Okay.
So
So none of the Guardians of the Galaxy have their own individual comic book.
I'd have to go back into my archives, but as far as I know, Groot had his own, but it was like a side story.
Back into
Um,
the Zodkives.
back into the archives, yeah. But I believe Groot had his own run, and I want to say Star Lord may have, but I gotta check. I don't want to 100% quote that as correct, but I believe Star Lord had like a mini series or something that was his own run, and maybe Gamora. I'd have to check it, but it wasn't more of her own run. It had to do with Nebula, so it was like a like a special. Most of the people from the Guardians, they didn't have their own comic. It was more of one-offs or a special little story where like the
Okay.
Guardians were still there, but they went off and did their own thing. Like in the beginning of um, the Groot Rocket Raccoon one or the Rocket Raccoon one, he started off in the Guardian ship and, with the Guardians. And then he left, he kidnapped Captain Marvel's cat and was going to sell it. And that's when,
It's
you
not a
had him,
cat.
whatever, Flarkin. You know what I mean.
It's
He
a
kidnapped
fucking
stuff Flarkin.
flirkin.
And they have their own kind of little, like, almost like a side quest.
Hey
But
man, would you say that Doctor Who just goes into a phone booth?
yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, well then yeah, I guess you can just call it a cat, but it's bigger on the inside.
Yes, I know where you were going with that because the phone booth is the TARDIS. But
Yeah, it's
you know,
bigger on the inside.
yeah, it's a whole entire ship, and but yeah, so um, yeah, they've mostly been a group, which Stone Cold Jeremy has said most do. Guardians of the Galaxy members have mostly been a group, but there are some limited run solos. Yeah, like I was saying, most of them have just, they've always kept that. That's like, how, like, say, and I'm better with DC, so we'll say DC, right? You have like the Sirens or the actual Birds of Prey, right? They were solo, but they have a team that they mostly stick to, and some of the members are specifically in that team. Like you'll see them do their own thing, but for the most part, they're known for the group. Like Harley Quinn's a bad example because she was more solo, like Huntress or something like that, right? Sure, she's made appearances in other books, but her team is the Birds of Prey, and you won't generally see her outside of
Huntress
that.
is a bird?
Yeah. So
How? What the fuck
I
kind of
see where
bird
you're
is
going with
that?
that. It took me a while. Okay, I get where you're going with that.
Are not all of the rest of them birds?
Oh man, I see what you did there. But yeah, so
Like, I don't know
uh
all of them because I am obviously not the expert, but I thought they were all supposed to be based on fucking birds. That's why they were the birds of prey, not the birds of prey because bird is a synonym for whammon.
yeah, yeah.
How woke
It's
of them.
back in that time though, it wouldn't have been considered woke because that wasn't even
Oh
there
man,
wasn't a
did
check
you
mark
are you
system.
have you been watching this season of Shield yet?
No, I don't want to know anything.
Okay.
Cause but yeah, I'm gonna get on that because I just finished the last season, which I thought was great. So I really can't wait to start watching this one. But you know, in the comic book realm, let's for a second talk about The Walking Dead. One of my favorite shows and one of my favorite actors, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, signs comic books supporting Rhinebeck Comic Shop. And while I'm bringing this up is because last night, if you guys were on the channel, we talked about shops closing. And I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and I particularly love him as Negan. I think that was probably the best casting choice that show has ever made besides Carl, or not Carl, um what's his name?
I
Why am I
don't know,
blanking on
man. I
Daryl?
don't
There we
watch the
go.
show and I don't read the comic.
Well, Jeffrey Dean Morgan has been in tons of other stuff. You've probably seen
I
him
know he's been in tons of other stuff. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is the shit. I loved his character in Grey's Anatomy, Denny Duquette. They killed him off. Those bastards.
So he's since getting the role of Negan, to give you guys context, he has been one of the coolest one of the coolest people to enter the realm of comic books. So we'll say he does a lot of different things. He interacts with the fans every chance he gets. Just a really cool guy.
Is the
Always
name you're
struck me
looking
as
for Daryl Dixon?
that. Yeah, Daryl. Thank you.
Thank you,
I know
Stone
that.
Cold Jeremy.
But when he took the mantle of Negan, he really embraced the comic book world. And with the stuff going on with COVID and stuff like that, Jeffrey Dean Morgan has upped his appearances in Comic Cons and things like that, and has been doing some uh, putting up his own money, so to speak, and even going as far and tell me how many actors you know who would do this, because he's not a big actor per se, like not like of the A listed talent, although A in my heart, but he's pretty recognizable. People know
I
who he
mean,
is.
you have to know the answer that I'm going to give you when you ask me a question like that, guy. You have to. Seven.
So I mean, so Jeffrey Dean Morgan has decided since COVID hit, he is going around to these comic book shops that are having a hard time. And he has, for some autograph sessions, not charged anyone anything. Just gone there and signed books and given
Like,
some money.
did he not tell the people he's even showing up? He just showed up and was like, hey, I'm going to sign some autographs today.
Pretty much. So I'm gonna
That's
read this article.
spectacular.
I'm gonna read this article from the Poughkeepsie Journal, and it says, as a co-owner of Mega Brain Comics and Arcade, Michael is more than familiar with the popular comic book series, and it helps that Jeffrey Dean Morgan, star of the television adaptation The Walking Dead, is a regular at the comic shop. Morgan and his wife, actress Hilary Burton, were among Michael's first customers when the Rhinebeck comic shop opened in 2017. They were the sweetest family and they helped their son, Gus, find some comics, Michael said. So here's another cool thing. Jeffrey Dean Morgan reads comics and encourages his son to do the same. I know you're not a fan of source material, PB, but yeah.
I'm not a fan of reading.
Yeah, I know. So they came back a week later and he was saying this was his favorite store. Now the celebrity couple are using their platform. Finally, we can use that word, and it's not asshole-ish. Now the
Uh-huh.
celebrity couple are using their platform to support Mega Brain by advertising the release of the latest Walking Dead comic book. And Morgan agreed to sign a certain number of copies. Negan Lives, which features his character from the show. Um, on Thursday, Burton tweeted a request to her more than 178,000 followers asking that they order a copy of the comic specifically from Mega Brain as a way of supporting this smaller shop. So my birthday is July 1st, and that's the day hashtag Negan Lives comic will be released. Only to comic book stores. So as to help small shops, as my present, can y'all please order from Mega Brain Comics? That's where hash or at JD Morgan and I hang. So not only did he come and sign for this free, but his wife tweeted it out on Twitter, and they've been gathering
Whoa,
people to
whoa,
help
whoa.
the shop out.
Can you tweet things out not on Twitter?
Yeah, on Zodphonics.
Jesus Christ.
Morgan, who has a Twitter following of more than 8,000, or I'm sorry, geez, that lowballed it. 800,000 replied.
Whoa! You misplaced the comma, guy.
So, agreeing to sign a certain number of pre-orders made at Mega Brain. So he's signing for free, but it's pre-orders, so they're still making money, but the signatures are still free to a certain number of people. Morgan's tweet led a boost in sales for Mega Brain, with orders jumping from about 80 copies of the comic to roughly 200. Michael said he will work with Morgan to decide how many copies will be signed. And here's the cool thing, right? It's not, oh, we want your money for the autograph. That's the key thing that struck me about this article. He's not charging for his autograph, which in a convention you would pay a lot of money to get his autograph on something,
50
right?
bucks.
He's charging the price that it would take for you to buy the book. So if you fall in this certain group who have purchased a copy of the book, which would be far less than getting a copy of the signature, right? You get, he picks out the first, let's say 200 books or whatever the case is, right? He'll pick that first grouping and set a date, and then you get it signed, which to me, why can't every star, or let's just say person who's been in the comic book world, do it this way? Because he's getting money and clout from the appearance,
Whoa,
right?
whoa,
Because
whoa.
of the
Oh,
sales.
I can tell you why. Carpal tunnel.
Right? So he's getting his name out there by doing this, right? And I'm sure there's probably a percentage of the sales or whatever. I don't know what kind of a deal he worked out with the shop per se, because there's always a little bit of a side deal, right? But he's still getting a return on his time. The comic book place is getting a boost in their sales, even if they pay Morgan off, even if they do like a little side deal, right? They're still going to recoup that money on the sales of the book. And we as fans get a deal because he's signing it for free. So all the way around, just doing it this way makes more sense than some of the ways I've seen these people uh, who are in this realm that do autographs and things. So I don't know. That system makes sense to me, but what do I know? Fans are stupid.
What do you know? You just read all kinds of comic books
Yeah, and I've just like have the entire series of The Walking Dead. But anyways,
and watch all of The Walking Dead. What do you know? You're not a real fan.
we will probably cap around 200, but it depends on him. Michael says, we don't want to bury him with work. Signed copies of the comics will be limited, one per customer. Negan Lives is a one-shot story that focuses on Negan, Morgan's characters from AMC television drama, and a key antagonist in the story. The book is published by Image Comics, is available exclusively through comic shops, and is set for release July 1st. I will definitely be there on July 1st at my local shop to get
Happy
that.
Independence Day. Yes, I know Independence Day is July 4th. Relax, everybody.
Walking Dead author Robert Kirkman said the comic release was his way of giving back to the comic shops that have made his series successful. So, love Robert Kirkman too. What a stand up guy. To that end, I am happy to report that 100% of the revenue generated from this book will go to the stores selling it, Kirkman says in a press release with Image. The retailer community does backbreaking work to get the comics into the hands of our loving fans. We should be doing more in these trying times to show how much we appreciate them. I would clap, but I'm holding my phone. Since the coronavirus
Hold on.
pandemic Thank you. Since the coronavirus pandemic shut down New York, Mega Brain has been eking by, in part thanks to the assistance of the Book Industry Charitable Foundation, Michael says. With the comics reopening and the assistance of Morgan and Burton, Michael said business is looking a little more hopeful. It's amazing, Michael said. I can't begin to describe how many differences this makes. Mega Brain Comics and Arcade is located in 15 East Market Street. For more information, there's a number to call, and you can go on their website. But I wanted to bring this up because this is the kind of stuff that I like. I'm a comic book reader. I've been an avid fan. I've said this when I had my interview with Second Street Marvel. There's something, it's like the movies, right? But for comic book owners. There's something about going to the shop that you lose, like getting the comic digitally, right? It's being in the atmosphere, seeing the people who are fellow fans. And like, like with movies, when you all go to see your favorite movie, right? And you got a group of people who are excited about that. It's different going
Oh,
into the
you
building.
like going to that comic book store because you like that nerd sweat smell. Just like people
Exactly.
like going to the movies because they like their shoes sticking to the floor.
Yeah, exactly. It's the experience,
Gotcha.
right? It's the experience that you get. It's the camaraderie, right? That's what fandoms are about. The camaraderie. We all get together. We all talk about the things that we love. And I gotta say, I feel like there's been more genuineness and generosity and more spirit in comics these days than even Hollywood, right? Hollywood is constantly shooting themselves in the foot, but it's not the same because we talked about the difference, right? Niche audiences versus mass public. It's not the same as a niche audience or a niche group of people coming together to save something they like. This story to me was such a great example of these famous people, the writer of The Walking Dead giving 100% of the profits on a book he specifically made just for comic book shops. I mean, that's a lot of time and effort, right? Robert Kirkman is uh, helping with the show. He works with games. He's making another book. Okay, so this man's
I
a business
mean, I'm gonna have
man.
to go ahead and say that it's a lot of fucking effort because I'm a shit artist and it would take me forever.
Yeah, and he took his time. He took his time to custom make a book specifically to help comic book shop owners create a whole new storyline, all of that, just with the intent on taking 100% of that sale. So he's not even going to see a penny of this, right? I'm thinking it's mainly publicity. I mean, let's be real. Someone's always getting something out of the deal, but for the most part, it comes from a good place, right? He took that time, he took the effort, he likes the fans, and he respects the outlet that's selling it. So his way of giving back and actually helping instead of saying, we're all in this together in my fucking $1 million home, right? No, he's out there and
Yeah,
he's
this is
specific.
way better than a fucking hashtag.
Yeah, he's not hashtagging save your local comic book shop. He is actually creating a product for them to sell to help their industry. Well, PB, my question is simple because I know anything comic book related, you're not going to have much to say. So my question more relates to this.
42.
Is this not the gesture we should see from more of these, let's say, companies or people who put out products, right? Let's use Hollywood, for example. Is this not the gesture we should be seeing from other actors and actresses in film? Why are we at like comic books and gaming? They do this stuff and Hollywood just doesn't get it. This is the stuff that puts you in a good light, right? The
I guess
giving. This is
42
giving.
really doesn't work for an answer, does it?
No.
Fucking movie lied to me. I was told 42 was the answer for everything. Yeah, it would be nice if more people were like this. Like
So,
I knew like I'm not like friends with him or anything, but I knew that Jeffrey Dean Morgan was a good guy. I didn't realize he was that good of a guy where he's essentially what he is not getting paid to do this,
no,
or he
he's not.
is. He's
He's not.
taking right. He's taking the time that it takes to sign all the books or do the meet and greet on a day or whatever to bring the extra business in because he wants to support his local shop. I mean, celebrities live all over the country. Fucking go be with the people. You say you love the people, go be with the people. Wear some fucking gloves and a mask. I don't give a shit. I'll take a picture with me standing 6 feet away from you, and then we'll just crop it together.
Yeah. And and this is where I see the difference in how the fandoms and how these people who are in the fandoms have a different mindset, right? The comic book fandom in general and with the conferences and with the autograph sections or I mean you have your Star Trek conventions and stuff like that. They're a different sort of group, right? And I think we can swing this back to where Last of Us 2 is, right? Niche audiences, right? And how you treat that audience is going to determine what they feel about you as their favorite character or whatever the case may be as an author, whether or not they buy your works, right? Because you go the extra mile. Kirkman and Jeffrey Dean Morgan are going the extra mile because when they do stuff like this, even if, let's say, it's for a selfish reason, it doesn't make you feel like that. It makes you feel like they genuinely care about the people who helped get them there, and they care about the product they're putting out, you know? And that's what it's about. And, sure, Kirkman's taking a hit financially, but the guy's probably got so much fucking money, it's ridiculous, right? He didn't think his book would blow up like this, or he'd have a show, a hit television show that is a direct result from his comic, right? So, and the fact that he remembers that and he says, you know what? I can take the time off. We're all on a break, Corona. I can sit here with my free time and write a book and give the shops 100% of the profit. Like, that's amazing to me. Maybe it's because I'm in the world of comics, but that's a pretty big thing. Like, you are giving not 50, not
You're not
75%,
just in the world of comics. You're from the world of comics.
85%. Yeah, exactly. But, you're not just giving a certain percentage and then taking some of the profits. He ain't even taking 2% of the profit.
He's giving
He is
it.
giving 100%. And not just to this store. Okay, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is specifically working with this shop because that's where he goes. Uh, and I'll swing to that point. But he's
Oh my
giving
God,
this
you're going to
book.
continue reading?
No, no. I'm done with
Thank
the
God.
article, but it's just a point I have to make. Robert Kirkman is giving to multiple shops. When you think about it, he's released this book as a uh, national release. So he's not just giving 100% profits just to this one shop. It's to every shop that has his book, keeps 100% of whatever they make off of it. No kickback to Image or the company he works for or whatever, when they buy the book. So they're keeping all of the profits. And this isn't the first author to do this. Yeah, I mean, DC is doing it, Marvel is doing it, and I find something very awesome about that. And then you go on the flip side of it, you have Hollywood that's not doing that. Instead, we're getting a hashtag and a bunch of stupid fucking videos. But you don't see them going, you know
No,
what?
Hollywood does the exact opposite. They, oh, what the fuck did Brie Larson do with her charity that had them pay for the tickets?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. They paid for the tickets to see her movie.
Couldn't
They
even
picked them
donate the
up.
fucking tickets. Like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
And the movie theaters, they could use a little bit of an infusion, right? So they could have been like, oh, 100% of the profit will go to the
Oh
theater
my
showing
God.
our
Could
fucking
you
movie.
imagine? Oh my God. Now, you just like light bulbed in my head. Like, just pick. You don't even have to have a movie out by that movie star. Just be like, hey, we're going to have X movie star at our local theater today signing like posters from whatever the most recent movie that they were in or the most famous movie they were in. It doesn't fucking matter. Just pick one. They don't have to be an A-list celebrity. They can be a B-list celebrity, whatever. Just have them out there so that people will come to the fucking theater. And like I said, they don't have to touch each other. You ain't got to touch the celebrity. I don't need to touch the celebrity. Like, that's fucking weird. Like, if the celebrity is okay with shaking hands or giving a person a hug or whatever, like, if they're okay with it, that's fine. But would you shake hands with Howie Mandel last year? No, you would not, because he would not fucking allow it. He would never fucking allow it. So it just goes by whatever they're comfortable with. So it doesn't really matter.
It, yeah, and this is the differences, and this swings back to Last of Us 2 and why Forbes is wrong because it's a different mindset. And these actors, that's why they gravitate towards these roles and these fandoms, because it's a different group. It's a different kind of feel. It's more personal, right? Where, the Hollywood movie is going to the mass majority. Only certain people are watching The Walking Dead. Only certain people are buying the books. Only certain people know who the fuck Robert Kirkman is, right? It's not like James Gunn. You say James Gunn, even the normal person will know who he is, or have some kind of inkling. Bad example, actually. Let's go J.J. Abrams, someone like that, or Steven Spielberg, right? You drop that name to a common person, they don't have to have seen every movie he's ever made, but they know the name, right? They know, or they'll bring up a movie he's made. Whereas if you say, "Oh yeah, Robert Kirkman did this," I'd be like, "Who?" It's a different kind of connection you have, because like with music, only certain people will know who the fucking drummer is, right? The hardcore fan, unless they're one of those famous type of people. So, you know, this really
I only know
speaks.
like four drummers, guy, and one of them just died like last month, so it's sad.
Yeah, I mean, this is the difference, and why them with their agendas would never work in this kind of field, and why I strongly believe the comic book industry needs to be helped, because you have such great people, great artists. I know we cover the negative parts sometimes of comics, right? What Marvel is doing and what DC did with their fucking Gotham High. Go check out that review on the Profits of Geek Culture. Anyways, um, I know about that stuff, but for the most part, the celebrities and the people who inhabit this world are so much different and almost seem removed from the way that Hollywood treats the business, right? Because if you take a comic book shop versus a movie theater, the movie theater, I can guarantee you, is kicking back more to the apparatus than the comic book shop is. The comic book shop, they have to pay the vendors and the company gets a cut, but it's less hands are taking the money, right? So they can do this personal thing where, as in Hollywood, the movie theater is like the last down the hill and they see the least. So when it comes to helping them out, it's like, fuck them. But you don't realize your fucking movie has to go somewhere. You know what I mean? And so it's, I feel like shops need to be helped, because this is the type of environment that they're fostering. You know, you got these kind of people that are actually trying to do good. And I think we need to preserve that, especially in 2020 with the way this culture is becoming. I
Well,
mean,
I'm just glad that we could talk about this because I was told that I'm only supposed to talk about stuff that I like and stop spreading negativity. And I was like, I like DC Comics.
yeah, and that's the thing, okay, we talk about these crazy Snyder fans or whatever else, but I guess to some credit, that's the kind of, like, with comic book readers, that's the kind of loyalty you have. And when you have a group like this is an example. This article, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Robert Kirkman, they're an example of how you should treat the fans. If you love and respect the fans like you claim, then you don't mind taking the pay cut, right? Robert Kirkman is like, yeah, I made millions of dollars last year, and probably making some this year, because he lives in the medium of books and you can still get it digitally. So he's like, how can I give back? You know what? I'll give 100% of the profits from this one-off special that I created specifically to help them. I'll give them 100% of the profit. I don't need that money. And Jeffrey Dean's like, I'll go and I'll sign 200 of those copies for my local comic book shop. to show like, hey, I'm a comic book reader. I enjoy this and I want to support you because that's what I like to do too. Like, to me, it's so fucking cool because PB, you just don't see this anymore. You don't see people willing to take a pay cut and actually put action behind what they're saying. Oh, we stand together, right? That's what you hear the stars say. We stand together. Everybody stand together. Support each other in these trying times. And what are they doing? They're at fucking home in their mansion in a fucking bubble bath. And don't get me wrong, I love seeing
I mean,
Gal Gadot in a bubble bath, but fuck you.
I mean, some of them aren't even at their own home sheltering in place. Like I know me and the wife tried watching some Amy Schumer cooking show on, I don't even remember what fucking channel it was on. It was on Food Network. And she was in some fucking log cabin that isn't her house. It's some friend of hers that said that they could stay there for the time being. And I was like, you've got to be shitting me. Like, you're worth millions of dollars, and you keep telling me that you're concerned about your elderly father who's in a different city, but you decided to just go hang out at a friend's house with your nanny. Like, you got one child and a husband. What the hell do you need a nanny for? You ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's stupid shit like that that makes you really see the difference between the mindset of one medium to another. Because when you realize that, yeah, it could all go digital, right? But they still got to make comics is a different medium. They still got to draw shit and stuff like that, right? It's not like what Hollywood, oh, we can do straight to video, whatever, they decide to do. I mean, the industry works differently. And the fact that they realize, like, hey, we could lose these places that distribute our physical medium, which is still a thing people like physically reading a comic, not flipping the panel digitally, right? So, we've got to do something to help these stores. Fuck saying we're together. We've got to act and like put up the money to until they can get back on their feet and start physically selling copies again. And Comicsgate, I'm not really big with them because some of their views I don't necessarily share about the industry. But one thing they are correct about that everyone attacks them with, and they don't fucking know because, like I said, niche audience, you wouldn't know unless you've been reading comics most of your life. But the thing that's underplayed is the industry is hurting. Companies are merging. Shops are closing down everywhere. And I mean, it's the time where these people who care about this industry need to step in. And that's what they're doing. They're stepping up their game. Where Hollywood just seems like, we're famous. We don't give a shit. It'll work itself out. You see, it's a very different push than what, should be happening with Hollywood. Instead, with the comic industry, you're seeing more of a push to try to get ahead of this thing.
I didn't push anybody.
Hey, Shadow Man, what's up? Just read an article about Jeffrey Dean Morgan being stand up. So let me talk about his end and then I'll move on to the next article. I think that it's cool that for once we get someone who plays a character who actually took the time and is a comic book reader. I don't know why. I just find that makes me love the fact that he has this role even more than I already did. Like, I'm not saying, okay, I'm not saying, and you know how like Hollywood, and this shows how Hollywood treats material as opposed to people who actually respect it, but that's a conversation for another day. Um, Hollywood would just go on a general idea of what they think a character is, right? But this man has been reading comics himself and he buys them for his kid. He has a favorite shop. So he's invested in this world. And instead of being one of those people who just talk about how invested they are and go to your local shop and buy a book, right? He takes the time, and he's a very busy guy. He's all over the place, and he takes the time out to go to his local shop, a smaller shop that he personally purchases books for, to make an appearance to help them. I mean, people, how fucking cool is that? How many times do you hear celebrities doing this? You just don't. I mean, what do you think?
Son of a bitch, you asked me a question and I wasn't listening? I'm having a
Yes.
Stargate moment. Total window of opportunity.
uh, he went through the gate. No. Um, how much does it speak to that you have an actor who, as opposed to these other Hollywood actors, right, that claim that they care about the role or whatever else, he's actually in this world, right? He has a comic shop he goes to. He purchases comics and he
Oh,
plays
you
a
mean
comic.
oh, okay, I get what you're saying. The fact that Jeffrey Dean Morgan appears to live his life like a normal man.
Yeah. And that,
Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, and that he actually cares and says, hey, here's how I can help out. Here's this shop I've been going to for years. It's a comic book shop. The industry is hurting. Let me do signings for free. Like, how cool is that? How many times do you hear these celebrities doing that?
7 times.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, very, very infrequently do you hear of them doing something, let's say, off the cuff, where they're like, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm just going to go help out here. I'm just going to go do this thing because, I think this guy could use the help and I support this particular cause. And I myself am going to bring in more people because I'm in that world. I mean, that would be like if it's a Star Wars convention, you're not going to get a whole lot of people going to the Patrick Stewart booth. It'd be weird.
It would be. I mean, I would just to see Sir Patrick Stewart, but I mean,
Well, of course.
but
But how
it would
many people are going to be lined up at that line compared to what would be the equivalent? The
Mark
uh
Hamill.
the Mark Hamill line? Sure. Exactly. Like it's not going to be close.
No, and
And
that's the
Patrick Stewart as an actor is far more famous than Mark Hamill is, and it's not going to be close
no,
because
because
it's a Star Wars thing. But Jeffrey D.
exactly,
Morgan is in comics. No, I
yeah,
need to mumble his name. Jeffrey D.
yeah, and that's the thing, right? He cares. He shows he cares, and the man is signing 200 books for free. People, 200 books. That's a long day, right? That's a long line.
Like you sign your name 200 times, tell me how long it takes, and tell me how your hand feels at the end.
And you gotta
And that,
imagine too,
like
he'll
you,
do
and then you
pictures.
tell me what else you could have done with that time, and then how much is your free time worth to you? Because my free time is worth way more to me than my time on the clock at any job that I ever been at. Like way more, way more. Like if you want
And
to
then you
take up
take,
some of my free time, you got to pay out your fucking ass. Now just imagine how much Jeffrey Dean Morgan's free time is worth. Like
yeah,
he's made way more at any job than I've ever made at any job. So his free time is technically worth more. Like if he just goes to the local fucking Burger King and was like, fucking hey man, that was the best Whopper I've had in my whole life. And he's like, hey man, you guys should go get a Whopper at this Burger King. That Burger King's gonna be swamped with people.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And and it's cool because you could say he's in the realm of Hollywood, right? He's done movies. He hasn't just done TV shows, he's been in movies and things like that, right? He's an actor. And, you know, so he still falls in that realm, and yet he's willing to do this where most actors and actresses are just sending us a hashtag and a stupid fucking video.
Hey man, we're in this together. You better recognize.
Yeah, and Shadow Man brings up a funny point. He says, "LOL, JL, Picard is not a draw. Patrick Stewart can draw on his own, but would he even do conventions?" Exactly. Half of these people, like Sir Patrick Stewart's talked about it multiple times. He hates being synonymous with Jean-Luc Picard, but that's just what it is, right? He's done other movies and people recognize him, but why do they? Because he was Jean-Luc Picard.
I don't
And
care about any of the other things. Sorry.
exactly. And he's taken the opposite role where he despises that kind of thing, right? So
Yeah, I don't care that William Shatner did anything else either.
you know he's not the guy at the convention who's going to do what Jeffrey Dean Morgan just did. You ain't going to get him to do that for free. There's no way that
Like,
man's coming to your convention and signing 200 autographs for free. It ain't happening.
dude, like, I don't know what year it was. What year did Star Trek 6 come out?
Oh God, man. Oh, I'd be
So,
going
was it
real deep in the
was
vault.
it was it in the 70s?
Yeah, about say like late
I
70s,
don't
early
know. I
80s.
don't know if it was in the 80s. I don't
It
think it was
was,
in the 80s.
I'd say, more of the later 70s.
Yeah, I was thinking late 70s. So, since the late 70s, and I mean, not everybody's seen all of the movies, but a lot of people had, especially if you were a Trekkie. Like, okay, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, that's 40 years. He ain't done nothing in 40 years that has been any bigger than being James T. Kirk. So I don't give a fuck. Like, TJ Hooker, who?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And and where you
It's not
have
my fault that you did something that I love you for so much that I don't care about the rest of your library. Not that I can't enjoy the other things that you're in, but when I see you, the actor, the things that I'm going to think about are not going to be all of these other movies and TV shows that you've done over the years. It's going to be that character. But I don't plan on walking up to you and asking you to, like, say the line.
no, that just gets weird. But
Like,
I
I'd be
mean,
like,
yeah.
Sir Patrick Stewart, could you just please say, make it so?
But I mean, it's like y- you know Jeffrey Dean Morgan isn't in that box, right? He's done The Walking Dead now for a couple of years, true. But I mean, his first television thing that really like got him going was Supernatural. And then, he's done other movies where more of a mainstream audience would see his face. He just got that face where
Holy
like
shit,
I don't
man. Star Trek 6 is from 1991.
God, where wow.
Fucking A, I did not realize that it was that new. I thought that it definitely came out before the next generation started. I thought for
Oh yeah.
sure that it had. Son of a bitch.
Ah, you pulled a Zod. But anyways,
Hey man,
you know,
I never claimed to be infallible.
but I mean, you know, it's one of those things where he's not necessarily like other people who would get put in a box as just, just this one specific character. He's done multiple things that people would know him for as opposed to this character. And yet, you know, he's willing to go and sign 200 autographs where these people who are specifically known for that one thing will charge you $200 a autograph. There's a big difference.
I mean, I don't there would be a few people whose autograph that I would pay for, but I don't know if they would where I would meet them, when I would meet them, that I would get charged for their autograph because I don't know where the hell they go.
So, yeah, I wanted to bring
Wrestlers
this
and football players, man.
up.
Couple of basketball players and baseball players. Like, there's not a whole lot of actors and actresses that I would want to get signatures of because it's not like, I don't know, something like that doesn't seem collectible per se to me to get like, I mean, if you could get all of them together, like if you got the Star Wars poster and you got everybody to sign it, that would be epic. But if you got it and you're like, oh, you got Mark Hamill to sign it, yeah, that's cool. But it's just Mark Hamill. You got Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford to sign it. Yeah, like okay, you got two out of three. I mean, you probably want all four signatures because I would want all three of them plus George Lucas on the poster. Like I don't necessarily need uh C3PO, Chewbacca and them, which obviously you can't get signatures from all of them because some of them are dead now, but that's not the point. The point is with like a sports figure or a professional wrestler, somebody like that, you just get like, I don't know, the magazine where they're on the cover or a card or something like that, and boom, they sign it. And it's always just them in the picture. Just them. You ain't gotta worry about anyone else. Ever.
Yeah, so it's a different it's a different type of thing with comparing those fandoms, right? Because
Like I
then you
know
get into
watching I can't remember what the name of the show is. Whatever the show is that Stone Cold had on cable last. I don't even remember what channel it was on. It was the one where he would have on celebrity guests and then they would try his frickin' whiskey and his beer and then they would do some frickin' challenge or whatever, some and they just straight up with Steve Austin. Yep, that's what it was. And I don't remember who he was interviewing or whatever, and they get to talking, and he's like, yeah, I've had people follow me like 100 miles or something like that to get an autograph. And he's like, well, hell yeah, I'll give you the autograph. And then he would give the people money for gas because they had followed them, because that's the kind of guy that he is. And yeah, you don't not everybody's like that. Like there's a lot of selfish people that are like, "Oh, it's my name. I need to monetize it." Like, have you not already monetized your name? How much money did you make to be in that TV show? How much money did you make to be in that film? Fuck, how much did you just get in perks? You walked away with what?
yeah, that's exactly the point. So I wanted to bring that up because I thought that was cool. and we should have more people who are willing to do that. And speaking of different people and potentially cool things, let's talk about Jamie Foxx, who says the long-awaited Mike Tyson biopic is moving forward. It's a definite
Yeah, we're
yes.
gonna talk about this one quickly, hopefully. God, this better not be a long fucking article.
No, no. Jamie Foxx, Mike Tyson biopic is finally happening. The actor, 52, confirmed the movie was in the works while on Mark Burnham's Instagram Live series Catching Up on Wednesday, in which he said it's a definite yes. Doing biographs is a tough thing, Fox says. Sometimes it takes 20 years to get them done, but we officially got the ball rolling. The Oscar-winning star said he was eager to show audience different lives of the iconic boxer. We want to show everybody evolves, Fox said. I think when we lay the layer of Mike Tyson in this story, I think everyone from young to old will be able to understand this man's journey. Fox also touched on how he approached playing Tyson, saying, and then just the technology of how I'm gonna look. I guarantee people will run up to me in the street and ask for my autograph and think that I'm Mike until you start talking. Uh, he continued. I'm sorry, because I get terrified. Like Mike Tyson might be in your fucking bushes and you come out and he fucking clocks you. But anyways, he continued. Every other day, I do pull-ups. We do 60 dips. We do 100 push-ups. I got no calf muscles, so we might have to get some prosthetics for that. Fox, familiar with playing real-life people, beginning with the breakout role in the Oscar-winning portrayal of Ray, he also starred in last year's drama Just Mercy with Michael B. Jordan, in which he played Walter McMillan, a man sentenced to die in '87 for murder of an 18-year-old girl, despite evidence proving he was innocent. So, I've been interested in seeing him get back to doing biopics. I like Mike Tyson. Most people, I think this is a great story because most people don't realize Mike was accused of a rape he didn't commit. And I think that's going to be interesting to see how that plays in this Me Too era because uh, they dragged his name through the mud. And it's great to see an example of showing a guy who was falsely accused. You know, if you guys lived in the era of Mike Tyson like I did, he took a pretty big hit.
Falsely accused, that would never happen.
Yeah. I mean, and don't get me
Especially
wrong.
not to somebody famous.
Don't get me wrong. He had a temper. There were a couple of things that he's done, but as far as women go, the accusations that were brought up against him were all false. And if you guys don't know who the cunt was, it's Robin Gibbons. I can't fucking stand that whore. um she was caught saying stuff like how she was going to get at his money and things like that, and turned out to be a gold digger at the end of the day. And more importantly, she destroyed the man himself, right? And we don't ever talk about that. Like he had a trainer, Custa D'Amato, and yeah, if you guys couldn't tell, I'm a bit of a boxing fan. Um,
Wow.
and he
Wow.
he was with this guy forever, and Don King started managing him, and he had two fronts going. He had gotten uh, Don King as a manager, and if you guys know who Don King is, he's the biggest piece of shit in boxing as far as management goes. He's destroyed a lot of careers, and then he had this woman come after him with false allegations, which were proven, and he had a two-front battle that nearly destroyed him as a person and professionally. So it's going to be really interesting to see if Hollywood's going to tell that side of the story or if they're going to Hollywoodize it and, go a different way. And what do you think of them, PB, doing a story on Iron Mike in this day and age? And do you think he'll have involvement with this? Because when Jamie Foxx did
I
Ray's
mean, he better
story,
have some kind of involvement, because how do you do some type of biopic and not have interviews with the person that you're doing it about? Like, you got to have that lisp.
yeah, yeah. And here's the thing: I know he's famous for the ear thing, and that was way out of line. That was a different
What do
thing.
you mean?
Uh,
What do you mean way out of line? You are
that was
putting
like,
it fucking mildly, man. That is half a step away from cannibalism.
but to be
When
fair,
Mike
no one.
Tyson bit off Evander Holyfield's ear,
To be fair,
he's
though,
like,
Evander
I'm losing a
Holyfield.
fight to an old man. What do? Bite his fucking ear off.
But see, there was another side to that story because Evander Holyfield and Tyson, off the cameras
Yeah, I know there was another side to the story. The rest of his ear.
off to the side, and with the cameras not rolling, they hated each other on a personal level. Like they almost got into fights before the fight, and we're not talking like
I didn't see any of
wrestling.
Tyson's ear in Holyfield's mouth.
I mean, Evander Holyfield had said some things, and we all know Mike Tyson has a world famous bad temper, and that was pretty wild. No one definitely saw that coming. Like, holy shit! I remember. No matter where you went, that story ran for forget months, years. That story followed Mike Tyson. But I mean, and it would be interesting, and I'm glad you put it that way. It would be interesting to see those different events that unfold, and the perspective from why it happened. And Hollywood's going to take their liberties, so hopefully we get a good story about that. But it'd be interesting to see like why and what the mindset was. He also had a lot of other things going on. This man has had personal struggles, and remember, this Mike Tyson, had he not have been a boxer, he would have died in the street. He was a street kid. He scrapped in the streets. His mother and father were non-existent. He was
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
stealing.
whoa, whoa. A black kid with a non existent father.
I know, shocking. But I mean, he was
I
he
hope
was
Herb heard that.
he was stealing. He was taken in by his trainer, Custa D'Amato, who took him in and basically not only trained him to be a boxer and used it to channel his vast amount of anger, but also took him in as like a father figure. So that's why his death personally hit him so hard. But I mean, there's something to be said about a story like that, right? A street kid who goes from having nothing to getting everything. It's like the American dream story right there, and then loses it and comes back again. Like he may have come back twice. I mean, it's something to be said. So
No, he made one.
inspiring.
You're saying he made two comebacks?
Oh yeah, because after the Holyfield thing, he took another hit, and then he did the Hangover and things like that, and he boxed again, but he wasn't the same. And he kind of retired because he knew it was time. But yeah, he's made two comebacks in his career. Because he and with the Robin Givens thing, he also was suspended until they did the investigation. But his reputation took a hit because he was a woman beater and all of this stuff, and he didn't even fucking lay a hand on her. she she inflicted wounds
I thought
on
you said that he
herself.
was. I thought you said that he was accused of rape.
He was. rape,
So then it
sexual
wasn't
assault, and
about
abuse.
laying a hand on her. It was about laying a hand in her.
Oh no, no. She also, with her allegations, claimed that he was physically abusing her as well.
I mean, he's got two
So not just
hands.
sexually. She said he would punch her and things like that. And I go, whoa,
I
whoa,
mean, you
whoa.
ever seen the show Californication?
Yeah, I have.
You know how
It's
that
a
show starts, right?
yes, I do.
Fucking and punching.
And here's the thing though. Why her story doesn't track. If you guys have ever seen what Iron Mike looked back in the day when this was going on, I can guarantee you, if he punched Robin Gibbons, who's about a buck nothing, or even
She'd be
slapped
dead.
her, she'd be dead. She wouldn't be telling her story. She'd be fucking dead. And with the way his temper is, he bit a man's ear off. Do you think, knowing that she could make this claim and it'd be anything but her family claiming what happened because she'd be done. I wouldn't want to be slapped by Iron Mike, let alone fucking punched. Are you kidding me? So, I wanted to bring it up because I thought it's interesting and I'm intrigued in seeing the show. And I think Jamie Foxx is an interesting choice. I've seen the pictures of what he will look like.
He
They've
better
done
start
some.
lifting weights and
Oh, he's
popping
got a
some
lot,
roids.
and he's got to get the voice down.
You gotta talk with a lisp. Come on, guys.
And he doesn't sound intimidating. Like you won't say that to his face because he's physically imposing, but then when he starts to talk, you kind of still got to remember you're
What do you
talking
mean?
to Tyson because he's
What's
like,
the worst he's gonna do? Kill you?
he'd be like, "Hey guys, come on, let's just stop with doing that."
Exactly. You're like, this can't be real. You can't really be the heavyweight champion of the world right now. This seriously? Be like, yep. He's the baddest man on the planet. That's fact.
So and speaking of which, we'll shift gears a little bit here. Speaking of famous people, and we have a good choice with Jamie Foxx portraying Mike Tyson. I think he'll do a great job because when he does drama, Jamie Foxx does it really well. So I'm looking forward. But let's flip this for a second and talk about the other biograph coming out, and you people can decide which one you want to see. And I like this person who they're coming out with, but boy, I said, holy fuck, this isn't your choice. But yeah, it's happening. Pablo Larraín to direct Kristen Stewart as Princess Diana. I'm just going to read this for you guys one more time.
The Twilight Girl.
Yes. Pablo Larraín to direct Kristen Stewart as Diana.
Kristen Stewart's gonna play a British princess.
Like, what the fuck?
Like, didn't she just play a dyke angel? Now I'm supposed to buy this?
I don't even know. I gotta be, folks. I don't even know if I can read this article to you. I don't.
Why Kristen Stewart? Like, I'm gonna need what? There's
Before
gotta
we
be a
get
better
started,
choice.
PB, I gotta ask,
How
without your
long is
number
this
mesh,
fucking article? Scroll down first and see how long it is.
um, let's see. It's about the typical length. I'd say it's
Oh
about what
God.
the Tyson article was, but uh, you know, Why? Why? You know,
Well, there's
of
not going to be
all
any
the
interviews with
female,
the subject in this biopic.
of all the actresses who would have been perfect for this role in a movie that people would genuinely want to see because people love Princess Di. What, as a director, what the fuck? How would you jump just to Kristen Stewart? That's who I gotta get. Like, you could pitch this. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. You could pitch this role coming up to any actress, and they would want to take this. They want to take this. It's
Ooh,
Princess
ooh,
Di.
you know who would have been perfect? You know who would have been perfect? Brie
Who?
Larson.
Oh, you know what? You know what? I can't believe, folks, if you're watching this, you're in for a first. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Brie Larson would have been a better choice. Be- and fuck me, I can't believe I'm saying this. I mean, I'm choosing. This is like for the Democrats between Trump and Hillary, or not Democrats, wrong team, moderates between Trump and Hillary. Okay, the lesser of two evils here, but at least with Brie Larson, I know she can do emotional roles for a fact. I've seen her, and when she does them, depending on the director, but for the most part, she can hit drama. Kristen Stewart, what credential does she have in this director's mind that says, oh, yeah, she's going to be able to pull off the drama that is required
Well, no,
to.
no, you have to ask a more abstract question so that I can answer you. Just no, you have to ask like something like, uh, what are her credentials to be able to play Princess Diana? And the only one I can think of is she's a white woman.
With
Like, you
blonde hair
definitely have
currently.
to be a white woman to play Princess Diana. Okay, that's what I was thinking. That's what the woman here just said. Like, Anne Hathaway, she already played a princess. Why is she not doing this?
I, Anne Hathaway, exactly. There's so many. There is so many better. And look, I'm not on the
Like,
Christian
then
hate
you
Kristen
know what?
Stewart.
If Anne Hathaway does it, then I can picture Princess Diana as Catwoman.
Oh, a twofer. I
That's
love where your head's
hilarious.
at. And like, here's the thing: the guy who's doing this film, he's pretty smart film director. He's done Eastern Promises, Pinky Blinders, which is one of my favorite Netflix shows. The 100 Foot Journey, which was pretty good. Most That's an independent kind of thing. You may not have seen it. Lock. I mean, he's done these movies or shows that are pretty good. He's a good director. So even if you took a Brie Larson, he would know how to get the acting out of her. So for the fucking life of me, I cannot figure out how he landed on Kristen fucking Stewart.
Cool. So we don't have to read this article?
Let me see if there's anything worth highlighting.
Like,
Uh,
if it says in there anywhere why they chose her, then read that part. But if it's just a bunch of stupid bullshit saying that, yeah, there's a thing coming out, and yeah, we chose her, and we think that this is going to be wonderful, blah, 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 shill, 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 go see our fucking documentary biopic bullshit. Pass.
So here we go. They're talking about the Twilight thing. Let me read this little excerpt here.
Ah,
She obscured that persona and has refashioned herself as one of the most interesting and unpredictable actresses working mostly independent films. Now she'll play one of the most famous women in the world during her moment of uh, in the world at the moment of great moment existential crisis. Kristen is one of the great actors around today. This is from the director. God
oh
damn.
my
Ah, I'm gonna keep going. This gets worse.
Okay.
Like, all right, is one of the great actors around today. To do this well, you'll need something very important in the film, which is mystery. Yeah, the fucking mystery of how you chose Kristen Stewart. This is the
Oh my
fucking
God.
mystery of this film. Kristen can be many things. And she can be very mysterious and very fragile. Oh yeah, we know. I watched her. Oh God. And
Fragile.
ultimately,
Fragile. I thought that in this article they said they watched Twilight. She ain't fragile. She's anti-fragile. I know
and
things.
and ultimately very strong as well, which is what we need. The combination of those elements made me think of her, the way she responded to the script and how she is approaching the character. It's very beautiful to see. I think she's going to do something stunning and intriguing at the same time. She is a force of nature.
Holy fuck. Dude, I told you. See, okay, I told you. Got to the shilling part. Fuck.
I can't. I'm not even mad. I'm baffled. I'm fucking shit. I'm fucking baffled.
You're not the only one.
Guy, what movies are you watching? I've heard pretty okay in our days of watching movie and film. I've heard pretty weird choices that have worked out. Right? We all thought Joaquin Phoenix was an odd choice for Joker, but we knew he was a great actor. People weren't for Heath Ledger as Joker, right? That was an odd pick. You know, we've seen some interesting picks for movies, but holy fuck, if this isn't the most out of the box shit that I've heard in a very long time. Like, this is the weirdest fucking casting decision I think I've heard uh in my life. I'm gonna say in my life. This is the weirdest casting choice I've heard in my life of movie casting choices. I don't know about you, PB. Could you name an odder choice where you just look and you go, I don't see it.
I mean,
What the fuck's going on here?
I guess I guess they could have cast like the Big Show. That'd have been a hair off, but he has more emotion.
Oh god, like this is one of those funny articles tonight. I know this article is supposed to be serious and seriously promote, but this shit's a joke to
Seriously
me.
funny.
This is a joke. Like I read this tonight and I go, PB's gonna get a kick out of this in our audience because I, I I don't know if you guys in the chat could tell me. I have no clue what the fuck like the thought process is here. I mean, we just named off the cuff two or three people who are more ideal. I conceded to Brie Larson. This is a historical night.
Wow.
I picked fucking Brie Larson is a better fit than fucking Kristen Stewart as Princess Di. What? Sorry. Ow. How, how do you win?
I mean,
Who
no,
was that
she's
choices
not
that
gonna be
day?
Princess Die. She's gonna be Princess Try Again.
I mean, who? Okay, who was her competition? I want to know. I didn't see anywhere in the article who was considered.
Dude,
Who
are you
came into
kidding
the
me?
room
No,
that
whoa, whoa,
day?
whoa, whoa, whoa. Nobody was her competition. She is a force of nature. She literally blew the competition away.
Oh, oh shit.
Like
Speaking.
there were A-list actors sitting there just lined up. Kristen Stewart walked in the door, boom, blew them bitches out the window.
So I'm a. This is. I'm so baffled. I'm just done. Like I'm gonna cut that right there. Enough said. Kristen Stewart as Princess Di. And if you rewatch this, leave me comments and tell me what you think of it because I'm curious. Like if your mind is blown as much as mine is with this. Like this is by far. I'm not gonna say good or a bad choice. This is a fucking bizarre choice. This is a whole new category of choosing. Like, this is a fucking weird decision. Like, I don't even know if that's the right word. I I'm at a loss, folks. Let's move on to someone I can find words for. Let's talk about the biggest piece of shit running, Jimmy Kimmel. You guys know, okay, if you've been on my channel, you
Oh,
guys
Zod
know,
loves Jimmy Kimmel.
you know how I feel about two people in this world, Brie Larson and Jimmy Kimmel. And I cannot stand this cocksucker. So let's see what's new with the cocksucking Jimmy Kimmel. The guy who just likes to slurp all the dicks in the room. He rides dick. He rides celebrity dick like a professional. If there was a contest for dick riding, Jimmy Kimmel would take first place every year, like the Emmys. So let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel to host and produce, host and now fucking produce because the show's ratings needed Jimmy Kimmel now, not just hosting and not being funny, but fucking producing the show. Now, he's gonna
That'll fix
produce it.
it.
The ratings will skyrocket. Jimmy Kimmel to host and produce coronavirus altered Emmys. Uh, I don't know where we will do this or how we will do this or even why we are doing this, but we are doing it and I am hosting. Jimmy, I love you. You're so stunning and brave. Anyways, Jimmy Kimmel is set to host the 2020 Primetime Emmys for ABC. What that show will look like, however, is quite unclear. The news Kimmel uh, third go as the Emmy MC announced by the network on Tuesday morning comes a day after Television Academy announced that the creative arts ceremony would be going viral, simultaneously acknowledging that the likely limitations brought by COVID-19 mean the main September telecast will likely be quite different from years past. I don't know where or what or I don't know where we will do it or how we will do it or even why we're doing it, but we're doing it and I'm hosting it, said Kimmel, who will serve as the executive producer on the event. The Primetime Emmys, originally set for the annual live telecast from the Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles, are still to be doled out on Sunday, September 20th, again airing live both coasts. Additional production details will be announced closer to the date. We know Jimmy Kimmel will deliver a uniquely entertaining, funny, funny You put you fuckers. Anyways, funny
Supposed to
and
say formally funny.
uniquely funny and moving.
Oh God.
Jesus Christ. These articles just get getting more interesting anyways. Primetime Emmys show, said the ABC Entertainment president, Kira Burke. He's a true master of the ceremonies. Oh my God, get off of his dick! Is a true master of the ceremony who reveres this industry and its people. They meant to say who sucks the dick of the people in this industry. Don't worry, I corrected it. And just as Jimmy has done with his own show the past few months, he will tackle this monumentous event with heart and humor and bring some much needed joy and optimism to our television comedy and viewers at home. ABC has had to deal with most awards related movements in TV's broadcast partners. The week brought news of the 2021 Oscars, and the annual air on ABC will be pushed to April 25th. The Emmys themselves have not been moved. Through the voting windows, they did see some minor tweaks. As Hollywood reeled from the first months of the shutdown, nominee voting set to begin July 2nd, with nominations being announced on television July 28th. Kimmel will host and executive produce ABC's recent reboot of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, so that'll go down the shitter, and has been filming his own versions of the late night
No,
show.
no. They probably got halfway decent ratings because they've had celebrities on.
Of course. So, enough said. He's a piece of shit. And the fact they're letting him produce it, go ahead, because you know what? No one's give a fuck about any of these award shows for years. This has always been just a Hollywood kissing their own ass fest, and it's gonna be no different this year, except for now Jimmy Kimmel can fuck it up even more. So Jimmy Kimmel, fuck you. Fuck your friends. I fucking hate you. You are the worst human being in the fucking world, right next to Brie Larson. And if both of you got hit with a bus, it would make my whole fucking year. It would make this whole Corona
Disclaimer.
year. Disclaimer. I really hope you guys get hit by that bus I'll be driving that says the world is yours because you're stunning and you're brave and you're great. You know what, Jimmy? You know what? You want a game winning idea? This is what you do. Call up Brie Larson, 1-800 I'm a cunt. Call up Brie Larson and you two host the most brave and stunningly beautiful Emmys ever. Yeah,
I mean,
I was
she
behind
wears
on my
that black
rants.
dress again. People will watch.
I mean, I hate her, but yeah, I would watch hate for that. Or hate watch, for that
I ain't
dress.
hate watching that.
And speaking of hate, we got the last article of the night. Let's talk about pieces of shit again. Chris D'Ella.
Oh,
Chris
it's
D'Ella.
Chris D'Elia.
D'Elia, whatever. Uh, he doesn't deserve me to say his name right. Not that I would. Chris
Why? What did he
D'Elia.
do to you?
His weird ass face. I'm sorry. I never liked this guy. Okay, maybe my personal bias as I'm reading. He always struck me as that guy who, if was accused, I'd be like, yeah, I see some truth in this, buddy. Like even this picture, he looked like he just got done doing something non-kosher. Like,
I believe
I'm
it.
just gonna say it. I'm sorry if there's some Chris fans out there. Um, you
I'm
know,
one of them.
I'm sorry. He just got that look. I don't trust him. I wouldn't trust him. Around the kiddies. But I like to use before we get into this though, because this is a serious article, and I would like to use a disclaimer here. People, these are accusations now. I I've just started following this. I don't know if they have a burden of proof. And these days, you don't know really what is true or false with people having character assassinations going on. So I'm going to read this and I'll let the intelligent people who watch our show decide for themselves how they feel about this.
You
But
mean the
he's accused
interactors?
the interactors, yes. This is from Vulture magazine, uh, updated in June. Nude photos from underage girls. Stand-up comedian Chris, go ahead and say the last name. You got this better.
Dalia.
Dalia has been accused of sexual harassment and misconduct, including soliciting nude photos from minors, by a growing list of women this week. His role as a comedian and pedophile in You's second season, which, by the way, if you haven't seen that show, You is a good show. So I like
Wait,
it.
what show?
It's called You. It's a show about this guy that is essentially stalking this girl and
What's it
then
on?
gets what it's on Netflix. If you ever get a chance, watch the show You.
And
It's
he's
a
the main
pretty
character.
yeah, and he narrates like Dexter. He narrates his like obsession with this girl, but he's not like
And the
Dexter because
show's
he's
about you.
yeah, it's about Zod. No, no. In late 2019, has prompted a flurry of allegations from women's that his character in the Netflix series mirrors his actual life. That was an odd choice. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here. If you're being accused of these things, the oddest choice in the world to take as a role, and keep in mind he took this role after some of those accusations had started coming out, is a pedophile who rapes an underage girl and gets I don't want to spoil it, but let's just say,
Plausible deniability.
but
You ever heard of
it's
Wormhole Extreme?
oh no.
Yes, you have. You just don't remember it.
Well, with that being said, it's a little bit on the nose, or maybe it's just he's a comedian and he saw the humor in that. I'm willing to buy that because that seems like a comedian thing to do. So I don't necessarily take it as how the vulture's taking it, like a red flag, like, oh my God, he's just confirmed what we've put out. And keep in mind, once again, people, this is allegations. This isn't hard evidence.
Allegedly.
There's allegedly, not proven. So let's continue. From women that his character in the Netflix shows mirrors his actual life. On June 16th, a woman on Twitter named Samaya Saman
I don't
Sam,
fucking know. I can't see it, and you're
Simonin
never going to say it right.
Rossi. Yeah. Began a thread by referencing D'Elia's You role, tweeting, I still can't believe Netflix cast Chris D'Elia as the pedophile for the season You. Like the literal irony. Rossi followed up with several rounds of emails and screenshots, allegedly between her and the stand-up comic when she was 16 years old, which shows D'Elia asking Rossi to meet up after a live show, as well as making her uh, uh, as well as asking her for photos. For the longest time, I thought it was embarrassing for me that I was interacting with an older man, Rossi tweeted. But he was the one who DM'd me on Twitter and was the one who was twice my age and was the one that used the power imbalance between us to his advantage. So fuck Chris D'Elia. In another tweet, Rossi alleged that D'Elia was aware that she was in high school while communicating with her, considering my entire Instagram was high school football games and spirit days. And there's
Whoa,
some
whoa, whoa, whoa,
screenshots.
whoa. College doesn't look like high school.
Yep, I know. That's why I'm saying allegedly. Dalia, in some cases, while they were underage, Dalia, in some cases, while they were underage, although I've been publicly saying it for years, fuck Chris D'Elia. He solicited nudes of me when I was 17 years old and constantly messaged me whenever he was touring in Vancouver and asked me to come backstage to his show. Other women, um, another woman, Michelle Coletta. I am so unsurprised that multiple girls are coming out with almost the exact same story as mine. It's a known fact. He's a fucking perv and he plays these roles perfectly when acting them. The allegations against Aaliyah continued on the popular She Rates Dogs Twitter account, okay, which shared multiple screenshots of anonymous. That's a reliable source. But anyways, shares
Holy.
multiple
Okay.
screenshots of women with similar stories. One woman alleged that her intentions with Leah took place when she was 14 in the middle of school. Other allegations that Leah used an 18-year-old woman's nudes in an attempt to blackmail her. And holy fuck, refresh. There's a bunch of these Twitter things I'm not gonna fucking go through. Update: Dalia has
Enhance.
addressed the allegations through a statement to TMZ. I know I have said and done things that might have offended people during my career, but I have
Fuck 'em.
never knowingly pursued an underage woman at any point. All of my relationships have been both legal and consensual, and I have never met or exchanged inappropriate photos with the people who have tweeted about me, the comedian told TMZ. That being said, I really am truly sorry. I was a dumb guy who absolutely let myself get caught up in my lifestyle. That's my fault. I own it. I've been reflecting on this for some time now, and I promise I will continue to do better. So, here's a couple of things about this. Uh, one,
Wait, so he's gonna get laid more often?
yeah,
He said he was gonna
yeah.
do better.
Here's the thing. One, there's these nudes that have come out, right? And I have been nowhere in the internet or through various publications that are covering this or anything else have ever seen or has there ever been a real tangible physical proof where there has been photos that he personally has in his possession that has come to light. It's never surfaced. It's been alleged. These girls said he received, but none of them has circulated where he's like, "Yeah, I got this chick on my phone. She's naked." No, nothing like that. So first off, I don't know why he's apologizing because if you maintain you're innocent, I don't think you should apologize. I don't think you should apologize because you don't have a reason to apologize. I mean, that's not how that works. Why are you? I mean, why are
I'm
you apologizing?
apologizing for my lifestyle. Oh my
Like,
god.
like,
I don't care, guy. Nobody cares about your lifestyle. You're traveling around the country, going from city to city. Nobody expects you not to be having sex with random women.
yeah, it is what it is. Hollywood and these reporters and everyone in these circles, they're so fucking two-faced. Like, they act like these people who are famous, and I don't give a fuck if you're like a smaller comedian that's just starting to get a break, right? If people think you're funny and there's some hot girls at a bar that have your stand up at and they're digging you, you're going to get fucking laid, okay? Let's lay our cards on the table. And I'm sorry for anyone who might have sensitive feelings like, Zod, how can you be objectifying women like this? Sex is a thing. Get
because
over it. We fuck,
they're
okay?
objects, just like men are objects. You
Like,
can
yeah, you
objectify
think,
anything that's a fucking object. Are you kidding me? Like,
and
people need to get over themselves. You're an object. You don't think you're an object?
let's just flip this for a second. Let's talk about the side that no one wants to talk about. Do you think for a second that women don't objectify us? Because if you do, you're a fucking idiot. You can't tell me that maybe men are more forward with how they approach talking to women. But when women get together, I've seen those get togethers. Every guy who has a girlfriend or something like that, you've seen when women get together, all right?
Dude,
Or whether you pass a fucking break room or something else like
Aquaman
that.
did not make $1 billion because men went to go and see it twice.
Magic Mike. That movie, I tried. I tried to watch that movie as a critic to
Like,
see if there
I did
was,
not. Why did you bring it up, guy? I specifically did not bring it up. I used Aquaman as a fucking example. But go
no,
ahead.
no, because this rounds my point, and it's better example than Aquaman. Okay, Magic Mike or 50 Shades of Grey, right? Guys aren't going to see these movies. No guy wants to see a bunch of guys stripping with their penises hanging out. Okay, that ain't our thing. All
Unless you
right,
like that kind of thing, because you're
and
a
you
big
can't,
gay homo.
and you can't tell me that there's a woman out there that went to see Magic Mike and they said, "I just love Matthew McConaughey's performance. He just gives the most." No, okay, they were like Matthew
Or,
McConaughey in a cowboy hat. Holy fuck, Matt Bomber. He just looks so
or
hot.
a little gay homo. I don't know how, the size of these people are.
Like, no one's saying that who's a guy. So to sit here and say that it's just men who objectify women and have these conversations is asinine, which let's swing it to comics or upcoming actors or upcoming actresses. They have some kind of notoriety. They're going to get laid and should not have to apologize for the perks of their job. And you can call me fucked up for saying that, but let's be real here. I ain't nailing a really I ain't going to get a Scarlett Johansson unless I'm in that realm, right? Unless I'm making that kind of money.
Hey, man. Hey,
Yeah.
man. Don't be knocking that unicorn down.
No, I love the unicorn and how that happened. I will never know. Zod's the hashtag Zod's a pimp. But anyways, no. Um, no, the point is these guys are hooking up with women, right? That are in the, let's say, major leagues. And you're telling me if they have the opportunity, if this drop dead bombshell walks up and says, "Hey, I saw your set and I'd like to see your other set later tonight," they're going to go, "Well, I don't like to objectify women, so I'm going to take the classy route and say, no, ma'am, you might have been drinking. I don't want to do that." Are you fucking serious? Come on. There's a point where, you know, Hollywood and the comic community, let's say, is taking this shit like they were always monks and they're always doing the whole. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Old school comics, we'll talk about how many women they bang. Okay, so you're saying this guy needs to apologize for his lifestyle? And as far as these pictures and these tweets, I looked over them. I didn't see
No,
any
he probably
reply.
didn't need to apologize for it. I feel like the apology was like preemptive apology so that people didn't feel like they needed to cancel him. But it's already too late, guy. The people that were wanting to cancel you already wanted to cancel you because the story was already out there. So it don't fucking matter. And it doesn't matter to fucking apologize.
Exactly. There were two different routes. There was this route or the Dave Chappelle route where he was like, "Go ahead, fucking take me on." I don't give a shit. I made my money,
Right,
right?
like
So
you're
you
a
can go
comedian.
ahead and
If
put
you did
hashtag cancel
something
Dave Chappelle.
wrong, go ahead and apologize for whatever you did wrong. But if you didn't do anything wrong, if you were living the shallowest lifestyle possible, I don't care. I don't care. And nobody else should care either because it doesn't affect you. If he has sex with a different person in every single city, every single time he goes to it, like I'm sure he go, you go around the country a few, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. I don't know how long he's been a fucking comedian. He's been around a few times. Let's say you sleep with somebody or somebody different every single time. That's a lot of people. I don't care. Why the fuck do you care? It didn't fucking hurt anybody
See
as
where this
long as everything was fucking consensual, as he said it was in his statement.
e-
So what the fuck are you apologizing for?
exactly, and on top of that, I have yet to see a tweet back where someone has said, "Hey, let's hook up tonight," or some, or he let me redo that scenario. He says, "Hey, you want to hook up with me?" And she goes, "No, I'm underage." And he's like, 17. That's fine by me. Let's fuck. I haven't seen any of those kind of things. It's all surface level, all the usual shit that they pull. Oh, you know, I sent a photo that he might have gotten, but I have no proof. I don't have a timestamp. I didn't keep the photo. I didn't keep the tweet. I didn't keep if you are accusing someone, okay, if you're accusing someone of assaulting you, let's say, and you you would think that if in on that day, if it made you feel that uncomfortable, right? Especially with technology these days, you would have that saved. Even if you fucking delete a tweet or whatever, it's still out there. They can still pull that. We have the technology to prove this shit, but they don't want to. I, am I wrong? We have nothing's ever gone. That's the danger. And also, that is what can prove a case or not, such as this, because if those are out there, you can sure as fuck track them down. But I don't see people doing that. I don't see people saying, "Hey, on this date at this time, this was the message." Okay, because even if he fucking deletes it on his end, or let's just say she's ashamed, right? That's a thing. Okay, that's a thing. She could be ashamed. She could be hurt, and be like, I deleted it because it was painful. You know what I mean? Like, I liked this guy and I thought I was getting comedy lessons and I got some other lessons, right? So I deleted it. I didn't want to remember that. The phone company can pull up deleted messages. People, you could take this shit and you can get that pulled. It's not gone forever as people think. If you are really dead set on proving your case, and if you really feel like this really bad, serious thing happened to you, then you would go the extra mile to get the evidence to prove it. And that's the thing that pisses me off about cases like this is the witch hunts, right? We have Matt fucking Lauer on the other hand, where he had a fucking dungeon. You prove that. He had a fucking switch to lock people in. I mean, there's no denying it. You can't say that's just my panic room in case the studio gets. Yeah, come on, Larry. Look,
You know
come
what
on.
you call that? You know what that's called? That's called a Weinstein button.
Like, yeah, same thing with Weinstein. Okay, there's proof. There's an unimaginable amount of things that you can't go, "Oh, there's doubt." It's like, no, Harvey, that's not how that works. And in a roundabout way, he said, "Yeah, I've slept with these people." It's a different scenario than with Chris. With Chris, this is all hearsay. This is like, I got a text. Well, do you have it on your phone? Well, no, fuck no. I don't have. I had to make room for my other people who are calling and texting me. Like, if it's something this
I had to
serious,
make room for sending the sext to the other guys that I'm gonna blame.
yeah, if it's something this serious, and look, there's also that there's also been that rule, like if one person comes and say it, you can kind of dispute it, maybe two, but once you got a bunch of people saying it, then you got to look into it. But that's not the case nowadays. Nowadays, you have people jumping on board with this because of the celebrity it is, and now it's
Yep,
so
they're
hard to
like, oh,
tell.
I can take advantage.
Yep. And so now it's like, oh, I crossed this celebrity once. Let me get in on this because maybe he didn't pick me up. So now I'm salty. So I'll throw my hat into this thing. And it's like with these cases, show me the proof. Okay. And people are like, but Zod, it's a traumatic experience. No woman wants to go through that again. Okay. That's a fair point. That might be true, but in a case where people are publicly coming out, especially against a big figure or a celebrity, uh, the people tend to bring evidence of that. I mean, let's go back to the days of Bill. Monica sure as shit brought evidence we never wanted to know about. Like, she had evidence and proof when she made those allegations, and then more shit came out. But the point being, okay, whatever you think, she brought that evidence for, the decision she got and got a confession, right? Whereas with these witch hunts going on now, okay, you got all these texts. Where's your text? These photos were sent. Show me the photos. And now these people are fucking stupid. The photo is time stamped. So you can put a time, a date that it was sent, and who it was sent to. Even if they fucking erase the picture from their phone, you sent it to this at this time at this date to this number belonging to this person, and it even says it was seen by them. That's how this works.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there are some phones that are set up that way that you can tell if the person's seen it or not.
Yeah, so you can even say, hey, he might not have the photo. Okay, he erased it on his phone. But look, if you go to my Facebook or my Instagram, right? They have that thing where it goes, oh, person at 12:45 saw your photo. You know what I mean? And it's not saying he kept it, but it's enough for you to prove your case, right? You can get the ball rolling. If you do a tweet or a text or whatever the fuck you use to communicate, it has, I sent it on this time, this date, and the person seen it this time or this date. What you really have to would prove would be the response, right? They sent back the response this time, this date. There's fucking ways to prove this thing, but all I see and all I hear is allegedly this was sent to me. This photo was taken from me, or I took this photo and they used it and I felt so. It's like, come on, really? And like, the thing is, even just saying it now can destroy your whole entire career. Just
Well,
whispering it.
yeah.
I mean, James Gunn, look at that situation, right? And I more believe that that shit was plausible than Chris, you know what I mean? I joked around about his face, but, he does, I'm sorry, he does look creepy as fuck. It is one that I would believe. But, but, on that flip side, I mean, look at what the James Gunn situation. And even though he got hired back, and we can all have our thoughts about how that shit was swept under the rug, but I mean, it was still out there. He still took a hit on that just for it being said, and it was a fucking joke. So, I mean, this shit is serious, and it really irritates me because you do have victims of this stuff. You have people who are going to have this happen to them. And because of these assholes, these fucking gold digging twats, and, these fucking uh, fame hungry cunts, you have people who have real situations and could be in real trouble or are really mentally fucked up because of what someone did to them. And now it's going to be downplayed because of these assholes. It's sickening. But,
Yeah,
that's
I
just
know. I
my
have a
feelings.
stomach ache now.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy, but you know,
I'm
uh
so sick. We better end the show.
yeah, we've been going for 3 hours, my normal time.
We've been
But
going for
we
3.5.
yeah, we hit the standard quota. But anyways,
Fucking quotas.
fucking Hollywood. But anyways, yeah, so how this all pertained to The Last of Us 2 is just, the way things are presented, I guess, would be the theme of tonight, right? It's presentation. It's how you approach things that really make or break whatever it is you're doing. And, I thought that these articles had a nice tie-in because each of them are about presentation, especially Kristen Stewart.
My God.
Oh, Kristen Stewart being Princess Diana. Holy fuck me. I gotta see this now just for curiosity. Just for curiosity.
Okay,
Purely
you
for
review it for
curiosity.
me.
I will view it for you, and I will let you know how that depressive train wreck's gonna go. But anyways, thank you everybody. This has been a great show. Mr. Pop Culture PB, do you want to talk about the most disliked video on the Prophets of Geek Culture currently?
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever. It's the greatest thing I think I've ever done. My God. Yeah, anybody who's rewatching this, anyone who's in the chat right now, if you want to go to the video that I'm dropping in the link, it's about Zack Snyder and how he's full of shit. Here is the link. I'm gonna drop it right here. It's the most hated video I've ever done. Go help out my ratio, or you can make it worse. But, just give it a watch and let me know if I'm telling the truth or not. Let me know if it's clickbait or not. Give me your opinion. I'd like to
Yeah,
hear it.
unlike the wacky fucking people who've been
On
commenting on it,
Twitter.
who,
Twitter motherfuckers are crazy.
oh yeah, or even in your video itself, like these people are not like these people are like rabid dogs.
Dude,
I'm sorry for the
somebody fucking told Perp that one of them told him that he was white. The other one told him that he fucking smelled. And I was like, how the fuck would you know that? And why the fuck would you think that he smells? And why the fuck do you think that he sounds like the one person said he sounds like a white person? I was like, you most definitely didn't listen to any of his videos ever. Because Perp definitely don't sound white. That is for sure. My God.
so yeah, definitely go check that out because this shit has been funny. We've been in a 2-day battle. I have a feeling we're gonna be battling these stupid people until the release of the Snyder Cut. We'll get more hate for our review.
Oh my God. It's going to be beautiful. Just looking
So
forward to Stevie J reviews of, or Stevie J's review of BVS on Stevie J Reviews. There we go. That's what I wanted to say. Oh, that's a tongue twister.
speaking of which, yeah, if you guys like Stevie J reviews, go over to his channel tomorrow or later today. We will be doing a review on the epic Last Samurai. We took a poll. You guys have chosen, and you wanted us to talk about the Last Samurai and how underrated the movie was on its release, and criminally underrated. It was one of those gems that we talked about where, you got a good movie, but people didn't discover it until after it left theaters. So we're going to break down in great detail and length what makes this movie just the masterpiece, Snyder fans, the masterpiece that this film is, and all of the technical things that goes into making movies that none of you seem to understand. So if you want to be enlightened about a good film, go and check out me and CBJ's review on his channel at 3 p.m. Central Time, America, and we'll talk about in great length and detail what we think of the film. And also tomorrow I will be doing a double review on episodes 8 and 9 of Penny Dreadful. And why I chose to do them at the same time is because they kind of lead into each other. So I didn't want to review 8 without watching 9 because I'm going to talk about uh, how much of a fucking cliffhanger this last episode was. Holy fuck, I was pissed. So, but in the good way. So, yeah, I'll be doing that review. And, thank you very much. And as always, remember the only rule here in the fandom zone: kneel before General Zack Snyder.
Oh, I was